Okay, so here we go. Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, will be held on Thursday, September 12th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. at City Hall, 22870 Priest Road, Sandy Oaks, Texas, where a quorum of the City Council will be present. All agenda items are subject to action. You could join the meeting at the Zoom link found in the agenda. The public will be permitted to offer public comments in person, telephonically, or by audio as provided by the agenda, and as permitted by presiding officer during the meeting by signing up with the city secretary at least 15 minutes in advance of the meeting and providing comments in person, and at least 2 hours in advance of the meeting by emailing the city secretary or by calling 210-607-0834 if speaking telephonically or by audio. An audio recording of the meeting will be made available to the public in accordance with the Texas Public Information Act upon written request. Madam Secretary, may I have a call to order and a quorum call, please?
Here.
Alderman Collector.
Here.
Alderman Pastor. Alderman Pino.
He's on Zoom.
Alderman Henry.
Here.
City of Kansas.
I'm here.
Tom is present. The time is now 6:32. We are in session. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. All right, citizens to be heard, persons wishing to speak may sign up with the city secretary in the time and manner as indicated above. Madam Secretary, do we have anybody present to speak?
No.
Nobody present?
Nobody.
Okay, all right. All right, so moving on to the mayor's announcements. Currently we have it is known as National Hispanic Heritage Month, and so I'm going to read out the proclamation for the city of Sandy Oaks. Whereas National Hispanic Heritage Month, known as Mes Nacional de la Herencia Hispana, is celebrated nationwide from September 15th through October 15th each year. The observation started in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week and was expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 to cover the month at which it is celebrated today. Understanding that September 15th is significant because it is the anniversary of independence for Latin American countries, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. In addition, Mexico and Chile celebrate their independence days on the 16th and 18th, respectively. And whereas the City Council, staff, employees, and Mayor of the City of Sandy Oaks look forward to celebrating Mes Nacional de la Herencia Hispana with the greater community to highlight the rich heritage, arts, histories, food, music, and traditions of all 26 plus Latin American nations, while recognizing that these nations are not monogamous, and this month celebrates, honors, and pays tribute to all for their contributions to our city and our society. Now, therefore, I, Michael Martinez Jr., Mayor of the City of Sandy Oaks, on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim September 15th, 2024 through October 15th, 2024 as National Hispanic Heritage Month. All I ask is that our citizens to recognize and celebrate the contributions of Hispanic and Latino citizens to our city, state, and country. So thank you and congratulations, not congratulations, but please enjoy this National Hispanic Heritage Month. The other announcement I wanted to add was, of course, we are now a day past, but yesterday was the 23rd anniversary of the September 11th attacks. Many people were lost. I mean, and really the entire nation was changed. So we definitely want to pay homage to those folks that died in those incidents, that gave their lives trying to save people in those incidents. And we hope that we can learn from that and heal from that now 23 years later. And as far as other announcement, I believe that's all I have for today. Okay. Consent agenda. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered routine by the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Please take a moment to review your consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
I'll second.
And Alderman Tremblay, you said you moved to approve it as presented?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay and a second from Alderman Rapino to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado, I believe that was was approved unanimously, correct?
Yes, it is. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, and that because I really can't hear too well, I'm going to ask you that every single time. So apologies if it becomes annoying.
Okay.
All right. The income and expenses for August 2024 will be reported by City Secretary Delma Doyle with possible discussion and or action. Madam Secretary, you have the floor.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. The general fund is starting. Actually, the beginning balance started at $235,541.74. We have checks and payments cleared, $1,533, $1,053, $185.02. I think I said that correctly, but deposits and other credits were $155,401.39. Stated, and actually we had an ending balance of $237,758.21. Okay, going on to the ARPA fund. The beginning balance on that one started at $225,207.28. Checks and payments included were $47,276.15. Deposits and other credits cleared were $13,066.40, leaving an ending balance at the end of August $101,997.50. All right.
Unknown caller.
CDA grant account, the beginning balance was $65,036.40. Checks and payments cleared with $21,819. Deposits and credits were none. The ending balance as of August 31st was $43,270.47. And that is it. That's it. Mayor?
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
He's done.
Yeah, if y'all have any questions or comments.
Nobody looks like they're querying, so I move that we accept the financial report as presented by the City Secretary. I'll say.
Okay, I think I heard Alderman Tremblay. So I have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Tremblay to approve the income and expenses for August 2024. Did I state that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right. And I believe that passes unanimously.
That's right.
Okay. Moving right along. Updates and announcement from Public Works Director Priscilla Schmidt. Unfortunately, I can't see if she's in the audience. If you can direct her she has the floor.
Good evening.
it's been brought to, Public Works attention that now on Bridge Road, we have approximately 16 mailboxes that are being affected by, a real bad erosion eroding away. And I needed to participate as a council member to, jump on this project with me to see if we can come to a conclusion or a result of the ending of this project. We'd like to talk with the postmaster, we can get these mailboxes moved closer. That's gonna be one of the solutions, and then also trying to fix the problem on the road.
Yeah, I will add to that, the postal regulation is that the mailboxes be 6 to 8 inches from the roadway, from the asphalt.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we have to look at before we incur a large expense of trying to fix it's the right of way actually is what it is. But that being said, the property owners are responsible for maintaining the right of way. So we just need to, we'll have to look at it, see what remedies we can come up with, talk to the residents and see if they can't move the mailboxes, if they are too far away, if that's part of the cause for the erosion, the mail delivery going too far over. We just need to look at it before we go in and try it.
More of the rain.
If I may, yeah, I believe it's more of the erosion on the asphalt because in front of my house, there's a drop about that big because it's washed away and washed away. And she has to actually, come off the asphalt. I think that's where she's having problems. Maybe even wear and tear on her tires because she falls off that asphalt. And I think that's, mainly what they have as far as the solution, the asphalt situation,
Well,
going in. But I don't know how we are.
Again, if the mailbox is properly placed, they don't go off the road. And again, I am not aware of a single mailbox in the city of Sandy Oaks that meets the
Right.
office regulations.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why I get the postmaster involved in this, first, and see what, but I also would like to have a council member to support me with it, so that we can go out there and take a look at it, get with the postmaster, see what he recommends, see what compliance we can get from the postmaster.
Right.
And then we go from there and see what this is actually going to cost us, because it's 16 mailboxes. It's not the entire stuff to Priest Road. So there is an issue there. I have already addressed it once and trying to fill in and fix, but it was a band-aid. Is all that was. Temporary band-aid.
Again, if it's a matter of moving mailboxes, I think the direction or the neat letter, on acceptance, being unacceptable should come from the postmaster. I actually spoke to Michelle, our letter carrier, about the issue, and did kind of suggest that she talked to the postmaster here at our post office, and possibly just have a flyer or something they can drop in the mailbox, telling them what the regulation is as far as the U.S. Postal Service. Again, we don't want to get into positioning or what is the correct position of a mailbox. It's not really not a call. But as far as the road repair, we can, look at that.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut anybody off. So I understand we're talking about erosion due to the mail carrier. Do you know, or anybody know in the group, if there is a standardized, document that we could print off for the mailbox dimensions, right? How far from the street, but something that's stamped USPS, not City of Sandy Oaks, not anybody else, but
yes,
USPS.
They already have that, Mayor.
It's on their website. It's on the U.S. Postal Service's their website, Postmaster.
Okay.
You can Google it and come up with it. That's where I found the information. I have 6 to 8 inches. The height has a certain height, certain distance. It's all there with the requirement.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is not going to be very well received, but has the post office sent anything out that says told people they're out of compliance?
No, not that I'm aware of.
So then, I mean, can we take some initiative and say, look, let's eat the cost of at least the initial flyer and just drive, right?
No,
maybe even all the councilmen.
We're trying to police an issue that's we don't.
If I may address, Mayor.
Sure.
It's illegal for us to stuff mailboxes. that notice actually needs to come from the postmaster in Elmendorf. I think we have to deal with it that way, and just ask him to enforce their regulation. He can pass out the flyer and tell them if you don't move it within 6 to 8 inches of the pavement, we're not going to service your address, and that is the correct stance. As to the running along Priest Road, although some of it may be due to the mail carrier, a lot of it is just plain erosion. And because I see it in areas where there is not a mailbox, I would volunteer to go with the Public Works Director and map out where the issues are and look at what the solution might be.
So another option. Sorry, go ahead.
If anything, we could identify those trouble spots and send a letter to the postmaster from the city and not get involved in the actual correcting of the problem.
Well,
he means on the road.
On the road itself, that's our responsibility. And again, once they're positioned correctly, then we address the road. Like you're saying, the mail carrier shouldn't have to go off of the roadway to deliver mail.
That is correct.
Her option is not to deliver the mail. And she's told me in the past, if there are trash cans in front of the boxes, if they're blocked, she will not mail. So she has some.
But are the citizens complaining that they're having problems, coming in? It's just the post office.
There was one resident, but it doesn't really have anything to do with that particular 16 mailboxes. It's actually on the other side of 44. But that's due to the fact that this is another thing I wanted to bring up is that we have a driveway over issue, and we kind of have residents who kind of do what they want with the driveway, so it does affect our road. She does not have a culvert, and instead of her driveway having a culvert with the proper road base place or road material, it's not a culvert at all. So she's got a big pothole in the front of her, and then plus she has a dumpster that she's leaving her property at an angle when she takes off, and she's
causing it.
That's the problem that she's causing. But further down where we're talking 16 mailboxes, that is from if you stand at the first mailbox where the 16 are, and you look down Priest Road going towards Ram, it's on the left hand side, and the driveways are not properly designed.
Okay, well look, let's do this, right? Okay, we realize that there's a driveway issue, so then let's start working with Cassandra and maybe even the driveway permit that the previous meeting that we discussed, because I think we do have an issue there. And then let's somebody needs to action going to the post office and talking to the postmaster about getting this actually moving. So if we can, I understand the concerns, and I think they're valid, and I think we need to do something about it. Does anybody want to take an action to work on a driveway permit to address the culvert issues? And then do we have somebody that wants to volunteer to take on the mailbox issue? I think you said Alderman Fillinger wants to do the mailbox, correct?
I will work with Priscilla regarding the post office and the mailbox issue. And as to driveways, culverts, permits, and right of way, I think the simple thing for us to do would be to adopt the Bexar County culvert and driveway regulations requiring permits, and us going to actually require a permit when a dump truck comes in and dumps a load of gravel that's fixed. Write them a ticket, write the property owner a ticket, when they ask for a permit, then we task Public Works is going out and measuring the ditch. And I mean, under the county regulations, there are drive-through driveways that meet a standard where a culvert's not required. If you have a 6-inch ditch, Bexar County doesn't require a culvert. If it's beyond that, they require a minimum 15-inch culvert up to a 48-inch culvert. And we would have to determine that size when they apply for a driveway permit.
So I think what we could. Sorry, go ahead.
Go right ahead, sir.
The only thing I was going to say is I recommend that maybe we get Jess, our city engineer, involved and tell them, look, cruise the roads, tell us on average what are the maybe 4 types of driveways that we're going to need, draft them up in a document, and then when we go out there to do some sort of inspection, right, or say, yeah, let's go, I understand you're here for a permit, let's go take a look. Okay, based off of these predefined standards, you are required this type of driveway. I think that would be
pretty well covered within the Bexar County regulations. If we adopt those regulations, it's cut and dry.
Okay.
What grade is acceptable for a drive?
Yeah, we just need to look at the county regulations. It's already
and the minimum would be a 15-inch culvert, and then the size is determined by the depth and grade of the ditch. And they also require a head wall at the end of the culvert to eliminate erosion like that. So, again, I think, let's take a look at the Bexar County regulations. Scan their application, block off Bexar County and insert Sandy Oak would be good.
Okay. I think that sounds like a plan.
That's just a suggestion. And since I've made a suggestion and it becomes an action item, Alderman Tremblay, would you work with me towards
yes, sir. I was just going to suggest I'll take it on. I'll get there and research what the county regulations are. I've been here for 28 years.
Yeah, prior to becoming a city, people actually had to meet the Bexar County standards.
I did my driveway. A contractor came in, did my driveway. It wasn't draining right.
Yep.
It was backing up. I actually called the county because I thought it was actually the cul-de-sac. Well, the county came out, looked at it, and said, no, it needs to have a dip in it. They actually did my driveway. The county did, and made it right.
So they don't do that anymore.
No, not more, especially not here. But I will. I'll do some research and I'll get with you. And
so the immediate action would be on these six items on Priest Road, 6 mailboxes. And
looking at the mailbox.
And once we adopt those Bexar County regulations, she has a way to.
Right. We're going to come with a driveway regulation on easement driveway approaches. Mm-hmm. Will be by ordinance.
I think the action would be let Alderman Tremblay and I work with Cassandra on the driveway and culvert regulation.
Okay.
I will work on getting the conflict master, letting them know what's going on. That way we can't support the backup for the postmaster, which I'm really well.
They have to actually be moved a week.
Right, I'll have a meeting with them and find out if you would like to meet with me there at Priest Road, take a look at it.
Okay.
I'll handle that then get back to
Anything else in Public Works, man? Thank you very much.
I do have one. So the culverts, and in relation to existing driveways that one maybe don't have one, or two, not by our definition, right? What is the plan for those, right? Like, do we force them to do it? I guess is my question, right? Like, how do we do that? Or is this something to think about? Maybe we don't solve it now, but just something to think about, right? Like, there's going to be a point where we're going to tell someone they need a $2,000 culvert installed, and they're not going to have the money, or they're going to be reluctant to do it. So just something to chew on.
I would say this, sir. If a driveway currently does not meet Bear County standards, the odds are real good they filled up with gravel, that their drainage is being affected, and the roads are being damaged due to at one point in time, sir, all of the properties in the city of Sandy Oaks were properly graded with drainage. So where we have drainage issues and erosion issues, they're mostly caused by improper driveways.
Right.
And under the law, if you change the land features and cause an erosion problem or damage to adjacent property, you're responsible for that. Mm-hmm. So, we can work with them, give them time. We have some surplus scheduled 60 PVC pipe that we inherited from Waterwood subdivision. We can allow people to pick up that pipe and use it for a culvert. I don't want to be the tyrant of Sandy Oaks, but you have to meet some community standards even when it affects your pocketbook.
Okay. No, and I agree. I think I don't have any problem with what this is going around with doing. I'm just saying let's make sure we have a plan in place for those that are going to push back and fight us on it. So
we can assist the people. We can work with them with time, and like I say, we do at the current time have some materials in place. We could help them with that, but basically we need to put in a stop here from now on.
Yep. No, I agree.
Okay.
All right. So do we need a motion to task those, or we're good with just kind of the conversation?
I think with Alderman Tremblay's agreement that he and I would work with the city attorney, we're good.
Okay.
And Cassandra's shaking her head yes, so let's move forward, sir.
All right, sounds good. Anything else, Public Works Director Schmidt?
That's all I have for right now.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more thing. If I can get the community to keep their eyes, stay very vigilant. Apparently, the city of Sandy Oaks is coming across, my public works department is coming across some individuals that are deciding that it's funding to take down the entire pole, stop sign, street sign. The whole thing just disappears. And public works just installed a sign, the pole, the stop sign, and the street sign on Skyla and New Mountain, only to find out the whole entire setup was gone.
So it's vandalism.
Yes. So this is our second one. We were actually able to retrieve one of the poles with all the signs on it, thanks to a resident contacted Public Works, informed me that she found it across her street in a vacant lot. She didn't want anybody to take it, so she brought it back to me. Let's go pick it up, and we're going to reinstall that. So it's very costly to replace all of this equipment. And like I told Mayor Martinez, I'm going to give a price of what it's going to cost us to replace that pole, so that if an individual is caught vandalizing that, I can give the police chief the amount of what that is going to cost the city to replace that.
Okay. Let me direct something over at Chief on that subject. Driving down the street and see a yard with stop signs hanging there for ornaments. Can you go in and confiscate them?
Yes.
Waterwood Pass. Take a drive down Waterwood Pass. There are stop signs, there are I-37 interstate signs. Yeah, for decorations. So that, you know, maybe if you see them hanging in a yard, a street sign, same thing. It's city property or it's state property. Either way, it's not. I doubt very much that they went out and bought an I-37 sign or a large. There's a, you know, they got some large stop signs. So yeah, that was a question directed toward you, and the answer is yes, you did. So there you go.
And I just placed an order of the day for signs that we do have missing, and they're also going to add. We drove down New Mathis, we drove down Waterwood Pass, and we also drove down Priest Road, and we noticed that Waterwood is the original stop sign for the speed limit signs. We noticed there are some missing over the span originally at Waterwood. New Mathis has very few speed limit signs, and there will be speed limit signs going up on New Mathis. We also noticed there are very few on Priest Road, and we are ordering. I wasn't able to order as many as I wanted to, but I will do. I have as much as projects to do this one.
Look at your budget, see what you have, get bench stock. Come next year, do the same thing. Get into next fiscal year, we're right around the corner. You should have a bench stock of, you know, the ones that disappear.
We would like to be able to.
In actuality now, and I'm not saying don't stock it up, but in actuality, the speed limit signs only need to be at the city entrances, or like at Shady Forest, you need a speed limit sign there when you turn that corner, because you're coming off at 40 mile an hour and do 30 mile an hour. But on Shady Forest, when you turn there, you need a 30 mile an hour speed limit sign there.
So Waterwood is 40?
Here's the thing. The 30 mile an hour speed limit within the city, that's a state law. Okay? If you pass the driver's test, you should be aware that residential areas are 30 miles an hour unless posted differently. If we want to go to 35 miles an hour, then we have to add signs. But
and we would need a speed study as well.
Well, what I'm saying is, you know, we don't need a 30 mile an hour speed limit every block or two.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you want to post them where there's a stop sign, fine. But, you know, New Mathis Road has no stop sign.
Not yet.
Okay. Well, that's beyond what we want to discuss tonight. But you come on New Mathis, as long as you stay on New Mathis, it's 30 miles an hour.
Right, there's very something. New Mathis is, yes, it's been there for quite some time, but Fairfield County, Waterwood did not touch that road. There's very few speed limit signs on New Mathis.
What I'm saying is they're not required.
Well, I think the issue
they're
is
not
that
required, and it's not a valid excuse to say I didn't see a speed limit sign. Okay, Chief, back me up here.
No, ignorance of the law is not a reason to break the law. However, I do agree with Priscilla that notifying the public of a speed limit is only going to help maintain a safer environment, because they know now it's 30. They're more apt to maybe slow down.
They pass the 30 mile an hour speed limit sign when they come into the city.
Yes.
Okay. I'm saying the guy that's going 70 miles an hour is not going to be slowed down by another 30 mile an hour speed limit.
I agree with
the guy that's doing 45 is not going to be slowed down by another 30 mile an hour sign. But hey, your public works director, if it's in your budget and the mayor with you, go.
It's not mostly the speed limit signs that I'm after. It's the street signs that I'm after.
Street sign stuff.
We're lacking.
I'm in total agreement with that.
So what I was saying is stocking up. I'm talking about the most common streets out there. New Mathis. There's New Mathis every street, right? So we need just a few of those extra just to have on hand. Waterwood Pass. That's all the way down Waterwood Pass. So if we have a sign that's missing, we have the material on hand to replace it. I'm not asking to have an inventory of every street.
No, I'm not arguing against having it spare sign. Sure.
To discuss about, like, for example, after a four-way stop, you need a speed limit sign after a four-way stop. So what we've had is some of these signs actually they're missing. It's not posted. It's gone. Mm-hmm. So that's why we have some of these speed limit signs, but we have very few. We have it all written down in the office, but we have very few ones to say it's 30 miles an hour. Michael, how many do we have on the map?
I've said what I've said. Let's move right along.
Yeah, let's. Okay. The only thing I will add to that conversation is that me and the public works director have agreed to do a bit of a public shaming on Nextdoor, whereas we show a before and after and kind of explain why we're showing a before and after. That somebody knocked down our sign and we had to go and put it back up. And if look in your backyards, talk to your kids, talk to your whoever, because it didn't fall down. It didn't walk away. Somebody took it, and it's sitting in somebody's backyard. And so if you know it, see something, say something, right? I think that's the phrase that everybody's been using lately. Any more discussion on this?
I would rephrase it as educational to public shaming and
Sure.
standards is next to door.
Tomato. We will do public educating then. All right. Moving right. We're good to move along?
We are, mate.
Yes, sir.
All right. Moving right along. 8 animal control updates and announcements from ACO Cunningham with possible discussion and interaction. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Nick. Keeping helpful. So normally, I just do my report. This time I do have quite a bit of things to talk about. I want to start off with good news. So I was not here for the meeting in the beginning of August, for the month of July. So I would like to use my good news that I was going to present I recently hit my 1-year anniversary. This was the 25th of July. So I, with the help of volunteers that I have, the ones that help me place the animals, the ones that share the animals, they've all helped in a great way. Some of the rescue groups that have partnered with the city of San Diego have been a tremendous help. We have been able to we've been able to rehome 166 dogs that have left from our facility. Of those dogs, 31 were adoption, 28 were owner reclaimed, and 68 of these dogs were transferred out of San Diego to other facilities. That totals 127 dogs that have been removed from the city for the entire year. The beginning of the year, the first 6 months I was part-time, and then I was full-time. So half of that year, it could have been, there's no difference. I should have had a lot more dogs removed from the city. That rounds out to about 77% of dogs finding a home or a rescue. That is fantastic odds for a small animal control. And it has saved the city a rough estimate of $22,000 in research. I feel like that number could double if there was more space. In the time that I've been here, I've had a reoccurring issue where I find all the dogs home, and I have a wait list of people who are wanting to, waiting for me to come pick up their dog. And then we are not able to because we don't have space. We are getting these dogs out of here in a very friendly manner. The average turnaround is around 2 weeks. To find interest, we get them that, the rescue will pay for staying here, we get them their vaccination, and they leave. I'm needing more space for the dog. I know we sort of discussed it a little bit, but I'm needing to be able to get more dogs out of here and more time. I want to talk about the euthanasia rate. The euthanasia rate for the whole year, there was only 34 dogs that were euthanized. That's pretty much unheard of. Some of those were injured, some of them were feral, some of them were arrested. Any dog that came in that was friendly did find a home. That rounds out to around 21 to 22% of dogs that could be euthanized. Again, that's very hard to do. I'm very proud of those numbers. And I just wanted to share that information. As far as calls for service, I'm having a very hard time keeping up with the amount of calls that are coming in. I know that I've spoken with the mayor about getting another employee after the Thursday will go. But I'm hoping that we might be able to, if there's any room at all in the budget, get more than one employee.
So you actually need one that's certified.
Yes. So what I need more than and another someone who's going to do the kennel doing the kennel test part of that job. A lot of what I do is not just animal control, it involves placement, contacting people, scheduling the best they get, scheduling the with the rescues to come in with our dogs. And that takes up quite a bit of time. And being out there without someone to have my back is very scary. And calling the police from what they have to do is not a feasible means of having that done. If something the dog was attacking, I would prefer to have somebody there with me who knows and is trained on how to deal with it. I know that the budget for animal control is limited, but I'm hoping that maybe some way we could figure out how to increase the kennel and get more employees on the animal control side to help with that danger and that amount of calls that I did not have as many calls this past month as I have in the past because of the uncertainty and acting. But out of those 2.5 weeks, we have started to call. The problem is that I don't write them down. I take everybody's information, and I'm not able to get back to their way. Back someone will call, hey, this said dog over here, you can pick it up. And then I'm over there and someone calls, hey, there's a dog over here. And I'm not able to get over there. I recently had an encounter where the public works director helped me get a stray dog. We were there trapping it, and as we were trapping it, there was 2 dogs on the street, on both ends of the street. We were actually on our way to another call. She was going one way, I was coming behind her to assist, and there was this dog that I went to where she happened to find the dog. So we never made it to the other call, and ended up getting called to another call of 2 aggressive dogs that were caught in the garage. We ended up getting those dogs, bringing them back to the shelter, picking up the dog that was there trapping, that we stumbled across. And there was just too many calls for me and her to and in that one day, I picked up 3 dogs and 2 dead ones. So it
And you're the only one that can issue a citation out of all that. The administrative side is lacking. You're falling behind.
some of this report that I got through today is a little bit behind. I did have to add some stuff on here because I was not able to get to it to put it on the report. And it's not because I wasn't sick job, I'm overwhelmed with too much to do. And just, and I have several dogs that need to be put into the system so that people can see their dogs. That's part of the stuff that I'm having to kind of put off in order to go to home. I think that having another person to help me, or two people to help me, would be a great relief after lighten the load a little bit.
Not even lighten the load. That it would be manageable.
Yes.
Because if you're having to cite people, you don't have anyone else to cite them. You still have to do the paperwork on that, and these calls keep coming in. So if you have a kennel tech, they're not able to do anything but clean kennels.
That's a problem, or they could take care of the vet side of things. So being able to go to more than one call is very important.
Yeah.
And
I had several citizens call me exactly for that, and citing the fact that we're raising taxes and we're not doing anything about the problem. And I know it's overwhelming, and I know that San Antonio gets 100 calls a day about dogs. We're not San Antonio, but we do have an overwhelming problem. To have her go out there and be out there all day long, and then come back and do the administrative side, it's overbearing.
I do have an issue where I said it, but I need more space. And if I'm filling up these kennels in one day, there's a whole month. That's 2 weeks out of the month that I'm not able to
take more.
8 kennels is not enough. 8, and on top of that, these kennels, the people can ignore packets provided there is some photos in there of Addison Hill, the mayor will go with me, and we looked at Addison's facility.
Wow.
If you look at their facility, they have stainless steel tunnels, and these tunnels were meant to last. They're not going to break, they're not going to get spin out, they were made to last.
So these pictures are the existing kennel that's deteriorated.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
The facility itself, I would say, is 6 years old. It's already degrading very good. I can't remember how old the Atascosa director stated their facility was, but I know that he stated it was meant to be built one time and one time only. They would not be having to be repaired on it. And it was made to prevent cross contamination.
May I interrupt you just for a minute, man? So I'm aware of the issue with the dog kennel. Have you developed any kind of plan, or because in my mind, you're the head of the animal control department, all one of you. We have an existing building out here, I believe, that they converted to house an animal. I'm looking at the kennel samples that you're setting up here. We can discuss this all night long, but until you develop a plan, we're not going to go anywhere. And so, if you put a plan together, and I agree with you, one animal control officer is never going to gain ground with the issues we have uh, with irresponsible, non-compliant citizens. So, but, you know, well, we can turn this into an 8-hour segment, or we can ask you to develop a plan and bring it back to us. Okay? My sympathies and emotions are with you. We have a big animal problem here. So give us a plan we can work for. Okay? We may not be able to instantly work with it, but we need a plan to work toward.
I did have something I wanted to mention.
Okay? And I'm not telling you to shut up. I'm just saying, you know, let's get us a starting place.
One place to start, I do want to talk about, I know we talked about Dragon's Law before. That's the thing that comes up. I would like to, if possible, try to find some funding to cover some of the price of that. They're the cheapest. To come up here, their prices are very expensive. However, I don't feel like our city the ones that I'm trying to target, the irresponsible ones that make the dog food, I don't feel like they're going to want to do that amount. And I feel like if we could supplement some of that, it would be a reason for them to have an incentive for them to come out and actually use the service. That
I'm not disagreeing, and I would be willing to experiment with that. But I'm also going to tell you, the people that are causing the issues you're having, if you're giving away spay neuters, they're not going to drive up here to do it. It's just not part of the culture out here. You get a puppy, he quits in cute, you put him on the porch and occasionally feed him. And that's the culture we're dealing with. And the only way we're going to deal with it is education and enforcement. So we, you know, obviously need a better plan than what we've been working with. Because they're
part of the enforcement would be to if they're habitual violators and they're coming to court on those, not to give them a break as far as, you know, suspending somewhere or paying for some, you know, for them to actually have to be paid what they owe. And maybe that, you know, because I believe that some count on the fact that, well, I'll show up from a court day, I'll tell them I can afford this, but not this, you know, and they're habitual violators.
But if you're picking up an animal who's not spayed or neutered and they want it back, don't they have to get that done in order to release them?
Yeah. Well, I've been trying out spaying their
right.
And they're getting a citation for the dog not being spayed.
are you following it up on what the group?
That was the next part.
Hey, if I can interject, one thing to add is we need to also make sure that the chief is involved, because those are Class C misdemeanors, if I'm not mistaken. So anything that Ashley writes for animals, if they don't pay it, we can issue them an actual proper ticket from the PD side, if I'm not mistaken. Chief, you might want to clarify on that, but that's what the gentleman from Atascosa County said to me, and that's how we get their attention if they're not reacting.
Citation, not paying a citation, I believe it would be more like a failure to appear for that citation, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. But it does increase the fine.
But you might want to call your guy at Atascosa County and ask him the statutory number. But I understand what you're saying. I'm not sure that failure to pay a Class C misdemeanor constitutes a Class C misdemeanor.
I said C, but yeah.
Oh no, yeah. Failure to pay a Class C is another Class C, but I think bringing them back to court for failure to complete their contract on a citation of failure to complete the contract would allow the judge, hey, I've seen you before. You have no intention of following up. I believe we can, if they don't do the pay and neuter, I believe we can seize the animal and issue them another citation. Because that, that, I understand.
So that's what you need to come back with some type of a plan.
Yeah, it's a very bad, it's a very bad situation we're in. But we need to develop some kind of plan to deal with it.
I'll do the monthly for this month. Sorry, for this month, on the 7th, presentation total is a 6. I have 2 on here, but I have 4 that I'm going to send to the in general. Referral, I had 1 in-house and 4. In-house citation is 2.
Can I call a timeout real quick? Are we still on 8A or we moved on to 8B?
No, we're doing her monthly report.
Okay, so we're closed with 8A, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Good. It's hard to hear, so I just want to make sure I'm on the same spot. Okay. 8B. Sorry about that, Ashley. Go ahead.
No worries, Jerry. So total in-house, in-house citation was 2. Unable to locate 3. No violation occurred was 3. Pending cases is 5. Total calls for service that I was looking at you, then I was not sure for half the month, was 27. New animals taken into the animal control facility for the month of August was 5. And I have all 5 of those animals released. And I'm back up to 6. Wow. Total number of dogs that were transferred, returned to owners, were adopted in the month of August was 11. And we did not have any dogs tonight in the month of August.
Thank you.
So, question for those dogs that are returned to the owners, they paid a fee. Is that money going back into animal control? When they pay that fee to get their dog returned to them, is that money going right back into the animal control budget?
That goes into court fines and fees. If I'm not, well, let me rephrase that. If it's a citation, it goes into court fines and fees. That goes to the court system. If it's an adoption, I believe that's going back to the general fund.
Well, I mean, I believe if it's a animal control associated penalty fine, those dollars should be going directly back to animal control, not to the court. That's my thought anyway.
Well, it's issued by the animal control.
Right. I'm saying, so why isn't that money going back to animal control? I mean, it's 5 for that month. What is it? $50? You can take the dog back.
So for the dog back, $50. I'd like to keep it under. And you can get up to $4,000 per dog.
So it would just help you with operational costs, such as food.
Yeah,
I mean, if we need to revisit this, but that's my thought. This money should be going back into animal control.
I thought it had a budget of its own, and then
reallocate go back into their budget.
Of the year.
Right, should go back into their budget as it's collected.
Well, so the court money, the money that has to go through the court system needs to stay with the court because there's state fees that have to be deducted from it. So
I understand, sir, but if they just come in and pick up their dog, there's no court involvement, and they're just coming to pick up their dog. And
right, but that's why we have the budget for them to cover their miscellaneous expense. I see what you're saying. I understand completely. Well, and Catherine is saying that the adoptions and return to owner goes to animal control. I don't I don't see that in a sense of, but I don't see it because I'm not looking for it. If it does, I don't
I'm
have.
not,
I don't.
I'm not looking at the budget, but I believe on the income side we had donations and fines
Excuse me.
for animal control. Am I am I wrong?
Yeah, there could be.
Mayor,
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we had a line item on the.
I'm trying to find the budget item real quick so I can. It's very much possible. I just don't have.
I'm not looking at it. I know that we had a line for donations to animal control. I thought I thought that's where the fines went to, with that line item. So that we added it to the animal control budget rather than just the general fund.
I'm looking at the fees right now at the revenues, and I'm showing. Yeah, there's animal control donations and fees, so they have their own. Yeah, they have their own budget line items, so that money is going back to them. So there's nothing to change.
That money should be in addition to the. Well, that money should go to their budget, not the general budget.
Exactly.
I do have a question. Sometimes when people come and get their dog, and it goes to court, that amount of money that we would have had to pay to resell the dog and how we're going to dog is going to get charged for the daily fees of that. Would that go into the fee?
they should.
It should.
They should.
It should. There's a court fee, and then there's the
Maintenance.
maintenance, I guess.
That would depend upon the judge, because I'm kind of innocent on court proceedings, but I don't think that he's going to collect those fees for it. On the other hand, we have an attorney that is perfectly capable of filing a lien. The person owns the property. I don't know how to deal with it.
Well,
all right. Well, look. Well, look. We're
just for 1 minute, Mayor, if you will, please.
Yeah.
If the case is going to court on an animal and you have costs associated with that, you should be. Don't you attend the hearing? And you should be letting the judge know that in addition to the fine, there are costs associated with the apprehension, if you will, of that animal. Somehow or another, I want to get this dog back to you where they rightfully belong. But again, like I say, if it goes before the judge and the judge issues a fine.
Is it clearly a separate charge?
Because
if it is,
that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Actually needs to be.
I'm here if you need me.
You're good. Okay, but look, we're getting way off track, and this is not a part of the presentation of the monthly report. So we could talk about how we can update her budget in the future. We can obviously add it to a line item to be discussed. I agree that her budget can be amended to compensate for the fact that she does bring in revenue. But unfortunately, this is not the time to discuss where the shortcomings are on the budget for her department. For just animal control, not for just her department, but animal control. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude about it.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
Okay, then I move we accept the monthly report from the animal control officer.
One second.
All right, I got a motion to accept the monthly animal control report presented by Ashley Cunningham, ACO, and a second motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed. All right, that passes unanimously. All right, moving right along. Police Department updates and announcements from Chief Juarez with possible discussion and action. Sir, you have the floor.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
This is going to be quite a long presentation. I would call for a 10-minute recess.
Can we close out some? Okay, that's Is everybody in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. The time is now 7:36. We will take a 10-minute recess and return at 7:46 on the dot. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're on.
Excuse me?
I can't see. Hi. All right, we're good.
Everybody's back. All right. We're recording. Okay. So time is now 7:40. Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Say your thing.
Yeah. Okay. We're good then?
Yes.
Okay. Time is now 7:46. We are in session. All right.
Okay. Now
At
I
least-
want to say something.
Sure.
If you don't mind, can we skip to 11C so the members of the CCRB that are present may go home? They have, some issues come up.
Yeah. No problem.
Okay.
Let's see here. Yep. Okay.
11C.
Administration, old business, 11C. Discuss on or passable action on appointments to Citizen Complaint Review Board. I believe we just need to appoint after the completion of their. Well, now we just need to appoint them. So take the floor. I think it was all three of y'all had recommendations, correct?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, the background checks were done. Everything was completed. I'd have the forms issued. They'd have to sign the forms and turn them in. As far as appointing, do we name them out, or how would you like to do it?
Yeah, I think just name them out.
Okay.
That we will, appoint so and so to position one. I don't know if that's how we're going about it, but I think we just call it out so it's on record, and then you can have them sign off to the side, and then they can depart.
Right. Yes, I handed out emailed them so they could read them, and then I have them here so that they can sign and return them. And the list that I have includes Citizen David Jones, Citizen C.J. Walker, Citizen John Kirkmer, Citizen David Wilson, employee Mike Avendano, and myself as chair, and the police department.
And Castillo as the okay. Just to get on record, citizens that are present after a 3-week ability to think it over, are you still accepting the nomination?
Yeah.
All right. Take record of that, and then let's have them sign, and then they're good to go.
Okay. Yeah, he's got it. He got it.
Okay.
Yes, he already signed.
And as far as
Yeah, which are 1 and 2. You have 1 year, 2 year terms. Do you want to annotate that?
Yeah. Oh, I see. Allocate to each one their term or
Yeah.
no?
except the employee or
Those big two. Just the citizens that
Just
rotate.
the citizens.
I suggest that you discuss that in a board meeting
Okay.
and allocate if it's going to be 1 year, if it's going to be 2 years, and make a note in your particular file that we need to address this next May.
Okay. Next
Uh,
May. Yeah.
Yeah, because the ordinance calls for turnover May of each year,
Revisit.
so we can either
Okay.
they stay or they want to be replaced. But the ordinance specifies that should happen in May of each year.
Every year. And then I should hold a meeting to give them their terms. Right.
Or email
Yeah.
or telephone calls because you don't constitute a quorum.
Right. Okay. I'll follow up with that. I think everything's done.
Okay,
Thank you, volunteers.
thank
Thank you all.
Thank you, citizens.
Good night.
volunteers.
1 second.
If you want
Hold on.
to.
1 second.
Oh.
The attorney.
Oh. To appoint.
I second that motion.
Okay, so sorry, you kind of cut off there. So the motion was to appoint the members previously listed by Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado.
Right.
Okay, So I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado to appoint the members previously listed in the call, and a second by Alderman Tremblay. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Tom, you're on mute. I think I saw you say aye.
Aye.
All right. All those
Aye.
opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. And thank you for your service, citizens of our community.
Thank you all. Just be expecting an email from me regarding that. Thank you. Good night.
All right, cool. So, all right, jumping back to 9A, updates and announcements from Chief Juarez with possible discussion and or action. Chief, you have the floor. Well, actually, before I give you the floor, and before the chief goes over his documents, I want to say when we hear him, right, when we listen to what he has to say, and this is just me setting the tee for him to hit a home run. Think about the reasons why we didn't have a chief after so many years, right? Think about where we lacked and where we missed out, and what we could have done to be better, what the department could have been done to, what the department could have done to be better. So think of those things when you hear what the chief has to say. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. So I've been here a month now, and in the month that I've been here, I've kind of just been trying to go over and see what the city has, what the city may be lacking. And I created a short-term, a mid-term, and a long-term goal for the police department. The short-term goal, I expect, will be met within 6 months. It should be. There should not be a reason why the short-term goal, aside from the staffing shortage that we have, that's going to depend on council. But the other goals that I have, which I'm going to go over, the short-term goals should be reached within the first 6 months. My midterm goals are hopefully to be met within the first 2 years, and the long-term goals that I have, the 4-year plan, is going to be contingent on how well the short-term and midterm goals go. But you guys know we are short-staffed. I did some research, and according to the Center of Public Safety Management and the Bureau of Justice Statistics, the average number of police officers for every 1,000 residents in the United States is 2.6. 2.5. We have one, and myself. So we have over 5,000 residents here. We are severely understaffed. With that being said, if I could, I'm not going to go over this for the next item, but the month of August alone, we had over 200 calls for service in the city of Sandy Oaks. Out of those 200 calls for service, our department answered 16, because we just don't have the staff. Those calls for service range anywhere from burglaries, thefts, assault, to shots fired and noise complaints. Since I've been here, I've had at least one resident come to my office and say, "Look, can I pick up the copy of the report from Saturday?" I said, "Copy of what report?" "Well, when the guys broke in my window, came in my window and assaulted me." When I did some research on that case, luckily there was a deputy close enough in the area to respond and make an arrest. Let's think what would have happened if that deputy would have been, say, 15 minutes away. What could have happened? If she was an elderly lady, what could have happened to her then, right? So I'm asking for 4 officers and an investigator, and I'm going to go in on why I think we need 4 full-time officers and an investigator aside from myself. Having 4 officers would allow me to provide 24-hour coverage 7 days a week to the city of Sandy Oaks by Sandy Oaks PD. They would work 12-hour shifts, 4 days on, 3 days off 1 week, 3 days on, 4 days off the next week. It's commonly referred to as the Panama shift. So in essence, it's a win-win for everybody. The officers are working 7 days in the pay period, but the city of Sandy Oaks is getting 24-hour coverage 7 days a week. So that's my goal as far for officers. It cuts down response time. It cuts down, it increases patrol. It increases being seen. We have people out there being proactive. Because one guy doing patrol is just not going to cut it. And we talked about city ordinance violations. We talked about assisting the dog pound. We talked about just being seen, being out there, making contact with police presence. It's not going to happen with one guy. Aside from the safety issues that we've had, like I said, over 200 calls for service in 1 month. So that's why I feel we need 4 full-time police officers for a city this size that's still being understaffed. But I know it can work. I personally worked for a city around this size with that exact same shift, and it works. A full-time investigator. So once again, I went and we're going to go over the types of calls that we're getting here in Sandy Oaks. And I look at the evidence locker and I see the types of evidence that we have. We have sexual assault kits. We have weapons in there. We have all kinds of cases that require a long-term investigation. Something that a patrol officer is not going to be able to do on his own. And it takes somebody who's going to devote nothing but investigative efforts. The chief of police has an administrative duty as well as assisting investigations, but we need an investigator to devote 100% of his time. Everything from taking statements, dropping off evidence at the lab, picking up evidence at the lab, preparing case reports, assuring that the case reports are turned into the DA's office. Since I've been here, I've had countless emails and phone calls from the DA's office saying, I have this case, but we have no evidence. I said, how do you have no evidence? No evidence. I have one example, and I asked Corporal Castillo, I said, hey, I just got a call on this case. You know anything about it? Oh, it's a drug case. I caught the drugs. The drugs are still in the evidence room. Well, how and why did this case get turned over to the DA's office without the evidence even being taken to the lab to get tested to see if it's even positive for the substance that the suspect was arrested for? All of that should be returned along with case reports, photographs, custody of evidence, lab submission form, lab result form, body cam footage, dash cam footage. All of that should be put together before it ever goes to the DA's office. But that's just a lack of investigative skills from whoever was here prior to determining everything in one package. This way you don't have the DA's office calling you back saying, we need this, or case is going to be closed due to lack of evidence, which is what's happening.
I'm not gonna stop you, but I want to add something into it, right? So, and this will be fresh for the council's memory. If you recall the last incident that we had with former police officer Maldonado, we had one person trying to do the investigation, the report, go visit our person that was in the hospital, go take the person over to the person that was arrested had to go to the county hospital to be reviewed. And that was all by one person, which I think really hits the home run for our new chief and why he's asking for such. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I know that's fresh on everybody's mind. Sorry, sir, go ahead.
And I can go on why we need an investigator to devote 100% of their time to investigations. I'm just going to throw out one more example. I was the investigator for the city of Elmendorf when I was their lieutenant. We had a homicide, smaller town, right next door to us, smaller population. That homicide, there were 6 other suspects there. For me to get search warrants on every phone and get social media search warrants for Facebook, Twitter, and other Snapchat and other social media accounts for each phone going back 1 year took over 6 months for me to go through. A patrol officer and the chief doesn't have the time to sit there and devote 6 months worth to just going through text messages, photographs, and that's not even putting the case together. That's just going through that. So we need an investigator. There should be no reason why 100% of the cases that we receive in Sandy Oaks are not either A, turned over to the DA's office, or B, not turned over to the DA's office because we don't have probable cause or sufficient evidence. But if we turn a case over to the DA's office, it should be turned over complete. We should have 100%, I don't want to say case closure, but 100% DA receiving the case. They may choose to close the case or not prosecute the case, but it's not going to be because Sandy Oaks didn't turn in what was supposed to be turned in. And that's what's happening now. They don't have the evidence and they don't have the case reports that they need to prosecute these cases. So I'm asking for a full-time investigator. So, you know, the next page.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Okay. Other parts of my early 6-month plan is I spoke about the investigator. I spoke about the full-time officers. So ensuring all evidence in the evidence room is accounted for. That is not just a procedures requirement, it's something that should be done. When I got here, I found misplaced evidence in the chief's desk, in filing cabinets, not in the evidence room where it should be. So what I need to do is and I spoke to the mayor about it, and he's agreed to do it, but I need not an outside agency, because I also spoke with the Texas Rangers. They said we can't do it, but I need somebody other than San Diego PD to stand by while we inventory all the evidence that we have. The Ranger said we can't do it because if you find missing evidence, we take over the case. We can't be part of the inventory if we're going to take over the case. So within this first 6 months, we will go through every piece of evidence that is within the San Diego evidence room, make sure it's accounted for and attached to some kind of case. So that's another priority that I have. The other one's going to be accounting for all open cases that are pending. And I'm hoping I get an investigator to help me do that because we have a lot of, the DA's office has a lot of cases that have been submitted or they've already closed them out, but statute of limitations have not come up, so we can still have them reopened if we just submit the evidence. There should be no reason why people are committing burglaries or stealing vehicles or whatever the case may be, habitual offenders doing it time after time after time, and they're still walking around freely because nothing's happened to them. Well, nothing's happened because the cases haven't properly been submitted, so the DA's office cannot prosecute. So I intend on accounting for all open cases that are open at this time. Ensuring that all officers are current with state licensing requirements. So when I got here, I found out that Castillo was lacking some portions as well as lacking his yearly qualification that he's supposed to take with his firearms. So we've already set it up. We're both going to do firearms qualification next week. That's also a liability for patrolling when you haven't completed your yearly qualification, which in part doesn't really fall on him. It falls on me as an administrator to ensure that he has his yearly qualifications.
Can I ask a question about that?
So those are my short-term goals.
Can I ask a question about firearms qualification?
Yes, sir.
Do we use a county range? Do we use commercial range?
So we contacted it's a commercial range, but they do qualifications for law enforcement officers, and they'll issue us the paperwork that I'll submit to TCO, which will have us updated for an entire year. Also on qualifications, I just want to let you guys know that upon getting here, I found that Castillo's using his personal weapon, and I was told everybody's using personal weapon. I don't agree with that. I think everybody needs to be, I think San Diego PD should be using the exact same firearm that Bexar County is using. I personally have been in incidents where shootings are taking place. Law enforcement has run out of ammunition, and it's easy to grab from your partner. You now have another mag because everything's interchanged. So we have moved on from that, and we now have 9mm Glocks, the exact same weapon that Bexar County uses. So we are interchanging.
Now, is that city property or?
That is city property, but they will be, they're not going to be in the safe. I want the officers to be accountable for what they have. I have found that if you're putting the AR in the safe and if you're putting your pistol in the safe and then so it's there for the night, you go off home, you come back the next day, you pick it up, you're putting it in your holster, you're putting it in the car. You don't know what happened throughout the night. Another officer could have come, knocked the scope off, done something, and then now you're in a situation and you think everything is just the way you left it, but it may not be.
No, the sidearms,
Yeah, he
I
will
thought
be
it
assigned
was
a sidearm, and he's already been assigned a sidearm. He's just not wearing it yet, not until we qualify with it next week. So,
which range are you using?
you got me on that one. I don't remember the name of it.
Anyway.
I will. I'll send you an email. I'll forget. But yes, sir, we have a range coming up next week.
Thank you.
So those are my short-term goals. Aside from staffing, everything else that falls on me, and I assure you, within 6 months they will be done. Is there any questions on short-term goals? No. Okay, moving right along to midterm goals.
I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
Back with the what'd you say, Panama shift?
Yes, sir.
Will the 4 days on split over? I believe our pay week start on Monday.
Right. Well, so, we are. I believe we are. Are we not Sunday through Saturday, or are we Monday through Sunday? How does our rate work here? Sunday through Saturday. Okay. So go ahead.
So my question is, when you're working 48 hours, is that going to split into
overtime?
Overtime.
So they will accumulate 4 hours of overtime per pay period. Yes. That is a slight downfall on the city side. It's a benefit to the officers, but I don't think it's a downfall considering 24-hour coverage 7 days a week. Now, part of my 4-year plan incorporates trying to get an additional 2 more officers to make a split shift. Now we're not going to that overtime, but the initial having 4 people working 4 days on, 3 days off 1 week, 3 days on, 4 days off the next week, 12-hour shifts, they will accumulate 4 hours of overtime.
If a man working the 48 hours, if he works the last day of this week,
right,
and the first 3 of next week, I don't.
Maybe short.
Well, I'm seeing. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing it. All right. I withdraw my question.
Go ahead. Are you done, Phil?
I'm done.
Okay. Looking at your short term, yes, and stating that you, in your short term, you're saying you want to accomplish in 6 months, and you want 4 full-time officers.
Yes, sir.
And you want an investigator.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I can tell you, I mean, we just don't have a magic wand that we can get. This is a ton of money for 4 officers. This is going to have to be a crawl, walk, and then run.
Right.
How would you prioritize? Can you prioritize your focus, your what you want to do? You need the investigator. Would that be the first officer you want to hire, an investigator?
So if I can,
I just don't see where you're going to get 4 officers and an investigator in 6 months. I don't see.
Right. So
you heard what the animal control officer was talking about. We have other wells that are going dry.
Correct.
If I may say something. So yeah, no. You're absolutely correct. In fact, I think we would be short 1 position in the 6-month goal, in that, and then of course we're going to talk about how we're going to get to the extra money that we need in the next agenda item after he goes through the remainder of his goals. But we would potentially be short 1 with the budget currently, plus any changes that we make further down the line in this agenda. So if you want to, sure.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Are you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to note that in 10 years, we've only worked up to 3 officers in 10 years, including the chief.
And I totally get that, But at what point do we make the decision? At what point do we make the change? Because if we're not going to progress, we're regressing. At
Well,
what point do we say the city deserves 24-hour coverage, 7 days a week?
no, and from the beginning, that was the point.
Okay.
And we agree. The point is that at this, well, it's the budget, yes, but the obvious lack of interest to come here. I know you say you've had some interviews and you know people, but they're gonna want high pay, obviously,
and we're gonna address that. We're gonna address that.
Okay.
So look, I'll just look. I'll let the rabbit out the bag in a sense, right? So what's going to happen at least what we'll be talking about right now is we'll move on to budget, and we're gonna ask to allocate money over to the police department. That is going to add an additional $105,000 to their budget, and with their current as it is right now, plus the 105. We would be able to get the investigator and 2 more patrol officers. So that's again, this is all based off of can we get that budget amendment in place, right? So that answers your question, and that puts salaries in a competitive range where we can garner interest into Sandy Oaks. But I will say, right, the difference between this chief and the last chief, right, is we have a lot of interest in our department based off of the person that we hired, right? I can't say that for the other person because I don't know his background in the sense of I only knew him from what I saw with him. But in speaking to Chief Juarez, right? People want to be here, and people are coming to Sandy Oaks and asking to work with Chief Juarez. I mean, that's how far his name goes across, and I think it has a value to it. So I mean, I don't know if that necessarily helps answer your questions, but at least in my mind, that helps.
Mr. Mayor, if I may interrupt.
Yes, sir.
Let's put money to the side for right now. We've asked the chief to develop a plan. He's presenting a plan. Let's listen to his plan, and then we can look at how do we like his plan, and how can we implement it?
I love it.
So I'm hearing things that we've wanted to hear for the past 10 years. So, you know, if we have a problem with the plan, we address that. If we have a problem with money, we address that separately. So let's look at a plan, set some goals, and then find a way to implement achievable goals out of that.
And I agree.
And if there's no more, then I say let the chief move on with his plan.
Yeah, no. I'm not trying to stop anything. What I'm saying is, what the question was asked is, how do you achieve this with the current dollars that we have? So, I mean, to address that question, I brought it up, how we do that. But yes, that's to be discussed later. So, yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor. So, as far as midterm goals, right before I get to that, I do want to just let you all know, I'm interviewing a candidate tomorrow, an applicant. I've already interviewed a prior applicant, the SAPD, and for the investigator role, the lead investigator for the B County DA's office is willing to come over here and work in San Diego, and he is the head investigator for B County. So I think all of them would be an asset. The other applicant that I interviewed has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and the one I'm interviewing tomorrow is a retired military police officer who's also worked for a few departments as well. I don't know him. This will be the first time I meet him, but the other two that I've already interviewed, I just wanted to, let you guys know that there are people like the mayor said who have been applying. Midterm goals, and I believe the first item on this midterm goal will also be achieved within the first 6 months, but I did put it on the midterm goal just in case it's not, and it's creating a reserve program. A reserve program It's a benefit all around. So let's say we only get two patrol investigator or 3 patrol investigators. Well, then we supplement that with our reserve officers who are coming in. If I can get 10 reserve officers, that would help supplement patrolling on the times that I don't have officers here. Elmendorf uses that to their advantage on a nightly basis. So reserve officers, they need somebody to hold their license because either A, they have a full-time job that is not law enforcement and they don't want to lose their law enforcement license, or B, a lot of them are working traffic control, right? Because, I mean, let's be honest, they pay $65, $70 an hour to go and put lights on your car and sit and work to do traffic control. But in order to do that, somebody has to hold your license. So my proposal is, it used to be there was a minimum amount of hours you had to work as a reserve officer for the department to hold your license. Well, the state of Texas about 5, 6 years ago did away with that. My proposal is, if you want me to hold your license, you have to give me 20 hours a month patrol. So they'd have to come in, patrol for 20 hours a month. I hold their license. That's extra patrol. That supplements whoever we cannot afford to hire initially. So starting reserve program is my first priority midterm goal. Second priority midterm, and we have the property at the park. And I don't know why other smaller departments aren't doing it, but we need our own impound yard. We're just giving money away to these tow companies. So somebody gets pulled over, they don't have insurance, whatever the case may be, we're liable if we let them drive on, right? A simple traffic violation like running a stop sign, okay, that's not subject to being, so we're not going to tow for that. But if you don't have insurance, or if we catch you with contraband, your vehicle's going to get towed. But the tow company is towing the vehicle to their place, they're collecting the tow, and they're collecting the impound fee. We'd still have to use a tow company, tow it to our impound yard, but now when you come to pick up your vehicle from us, we're going to charge you that towing fee. You're going to reimburse us that towing fee that we paid the company. You're also going to pay us the impound fee, and that comes straight to the city PD or the city of Sandy Oaks. So now we have a department that's generating income for the city, not just letting the towing company generate their income. So we need our own towing company. Aside from that, if we have our own impound yard, and I asked Coco Castillo, I said, when was the last time y'all even filed a seizure on a vehicle? Any vehicle used in the commission of a felony is subject to seizure. We have 30 days to file an affidavit for seizure. He said he's never heard of it. I said, do you all not catch people with methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, any amount of felony? All the time. That one case that I was talking about that the DA's office called about the other day was for cocaine. I said, why aren't we seizing these cars? We put these cars in our impound yard. You want it back, come buy it at my auction. That's the only way that repeat offenders, you hit them in the pocketbook, that's how you put a stop to what they're doing. So we need our own impound yard. And we have the property to do it over at the park right beside our public works area out there. I need to see the regulations of how high the fence needs to be, what kind of lighting it needs, but we need an impound yard. So that's part of my 2-year plan as well. Generating an asset forfeiture account. Once again, I just spoke about the seizures, right? Excuse the way I say that. I've never been able to say that right. But when we seize a vehicle or seize currency, either narcotics or any type of felony use, well, we need an asset forfeiture account. We cannot mix that money with general funds because that money, once it seized, can be used for all kinds of stuff: buying equipment, buying vehicles, buying weapons, whatever the department needs, but it cannot be used for salaries or raises. So it can't be mixed with general fund money. So it's just getting to a bank and starting an asset forfeiture account. But I see no need to do that yet until we have an impound yard and until we can start generating that kind of income. So that A and B goes with that asset forfeiture account. Number 4, so this is something I learned early in my career. complacency kills, right? So I would like to assign special tasks for each officer that we have on patrol. I believe that officers become complacent when they don't have something to be the sole caretaker of. So, for example, Castillo and I are both going to sex offender school. It's a free school. We need to learn how to do the sex offender registration. That's something I've never done in my career. I found out by speaking to the person who's going to put on the class, Sandy Oaks is 5 times higher than the Texas average per residency on our sex offender. So we need to figure out how we do this sex offender registration. But that's something Castillo could be in charge of, per se. I'm not saying that he is, I'm just saying something like that, whether it be sex offenders or something. You give an officer a task that they're sole in charge of, and you oversee them doing that task. It just, I think it teaches leadership and purpose. Long-term goals. Any questions about midterm goals, anybody?
I do want to throw out one item, right? So one thing that we've learned in the hiring of our new chief is that City of Sandy Oaks is unique in that, as he mentioned, we have a high rating. However, the issue that we run into is that we are by mailing address, we are considered Elmendorf, and nobody is registering under the City of Sandy Oaks. And so you're registering under Elmendorf. So when you look under Elmendorf, the population in this area is super low. Or maybe I have that backwards. Or the population for Sandy Oaks is super low. So when you look in the system under Sandy Oaks, it's very low. It looks like there's nothing. But when you look under Elmendorf, which we're not, right? We just use their mailing system. It's a hot map. So that's one of the things that they're going to talk about that we've been made aware of that we need to fix, right? So when people are looking up our area to come move in, let me look up Sandy Oaks. Well, there's nothing. I mean, maybe that's to our benefit, right? But when they look up Elmendorf, which they wouldn't know any better, right? Because on every map now it says Sandy Oaks, there's nothing. So we're given a false pretense of how populated how heavy that population is around here. So that's something that we need to fix, and that the chief is gonna spearhead. So just something I wanted to throw out there because not everybody knows that.
Correct. Anybody else in midterm? Now I'm going to move into the long-term goals. Mm-hmm. So my long-term goals is a 4-year plan, and I don't want to seem like an administrator of a police department who all they care about is money. Believe me, that's not the case. And I think I told Mr. Chumney the other day, the citizens will always come first. And I've worked for other heads of departments that all they cared about was money. Go out and find me money, right? But a lot of what you're going to see in my 4-year plan is about generating income for the city. Please don't take that as if I take priority in that over safety of the citizens. That is by no means the case. So if everything goes as planned and we hit that 2-year plan, and in that 2-year plan we've got our impound yard, we're generating some income, I would like to hire 2 additional officers at that point 4 years down the road to cover a swing shift during our most busiest hours, a 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. shift. That seems to be when we're having the majority of our violent crimes and our property crimes. So that would be first item on my list in my 4-year plan. Second would be to try to gain an interlocal agreement with the constable's office. What I mean by interlocal agreement, I've worked in several interlocal agreements that granted us jurisdiction outside our original jurisdiction. So if I have 6 officers covering the city of Sandy Oaks, the people are seeing officers work in the city of Sandy Oaks. We can now move on to, if I get an interlocal agreement, hiring an interdiction officer to only work Highway 37 of that constable's office jurisdiction. Only because I personally have been a part of stop from 37 with $2.1 million in seizure in one traffic stop. That's just money that the department can be set for years to come. If that's the case, I also have contacts in federal agencies and what they do is they call you personally and they give you a boat. I had a call last week by ICE telling me, hey, we have a money load coming to 37. You want to get it stopped? I said, I have no jurisdiction. Call somebody else. I wish I could. So I would love to hire a canine officer. I would love to get a canine, a tracking canine. We're in a rural area. People run. They get into the brush. They get into the woods. It's all that's on here. I think just another item down the road. But since I'm talking about canines, it's also another less than lethal force of weaponry that we would have to our disposal. If we had a canine, we wouldn't have to go in gun blazing in a serious situation, in some serious situations. The canine, I don't know how many times I've seen people ready to fight with cops, but you let that dog out, boy, they give it up, you know? So I would love to hire a canine during my 4-year plan. I'd like to get innovative technology and equipment. If we're generating the income, I'd love to have more innovative equipment and technology. We're still downloading dash cams and body cams to hard drives to try to upload to a computer to try to send on bare eyes through the cloud to the DA's office for evidence. So many steps. There's a lot of chances for things to get lost, deleted, whatever the case may be. If we were to get the technology where as soon as an officer drives up into the parking lot, the dash cam video footage automatically uploads into the cloud. There's no way it's going to get lost. It can't be tampered with, can't be deleted. It's ready for evidence at all times. I'd love to get that within 4 years. That's part of 3A and 3B. Well, 3B would be electronic labeling of evidence. So right now we have everything handwritten. Everything's handwritten on a bag, and everything's stored old school way in an evidence locker. And then we've got to go in and put it on the case. All it takes is one typo to lose that evidence, and then you've lost the chain of custody, and you're going to lose the case when you go to court, because a good defense attorney will eat you up if you have a break in chain of custody. Electronic evidence, it's just you put that stick, you print out the sticker, you put the sticker on the bag, you scan it, it goes to the case report, it's done. And a lot of your, I mean, Ellendorf even has it now, but a lot of your agencies that I know of, I don't know any anymore that still using the old handwritten type method like we are. I would love to have a certified evidence technician. I mean, like I said, guys, this is all down the road, but these are things I think would just be an asset to a police department, to growing the police department. The city is going to grow. It's going to continue to grow. We're expanding. I think the police department needs to as well. An evidence tech, they're great when it comes to testifying in court because they're certified to handle the evidence. They're certified to testify. And they have become the norm for police departments, is having a certified evidence technician to take care of your evidence. This is a big one. They're not that expensive. I might be able to get one in my 2-year plan. It's getting an LPR reader for a vehicle. An LPR reader is a license plate reader. And it's constantly running 24/7. As you're driving, it's scanning license plates and it's feeding you back. So if somebody in Grapevine, Texas, there was a child abduction and missing a vehicle, and that vehicle passes by me, I may not notice it, but my license plate reader is going to notice it. It's going to alert me, hey, that vehicle, it's been inputted for an abducted child, or it's smuggling illegals, narcotics, currency, silver alert, somebody with Alzheimer's. There's just all kinds of benefits to having a license plate reader put on a patrol car. And all it does is it scans license plates. A lot of patrol cars have them in front and back, so that it's scanning vehicles coming toward you and it's scanning vehicles that they're coming up behind you. So it's just constantly scanning license plates. I would love to have a license plate reader for the police department. And then I've already spoke on the K9. So these are the short, mid, and long-term goals that I've created in the short time that I've been here. I believe it can be done. I think it's just going to take a lot of bending, I know it, but I think we owe it to the city to have full-time service for the city. There should be no reason why Bear County SO answers 190 calls in a month for service in our city, and we only have it 16. Sandy Oaks PD should be having Sandy Oaks. So, I mean, I'm grateful we have Bear County, and I'd love to utilize them as backup purposes, but we should be the initial office having our calls for service within the city.
That would, for good or for bad, it's always been like that. And when we had 3 officers, it was still like that. And I believe a lot of that has to do with the allocation of hours. Because, you know, we've got 3 officers, but that's not 24 hours.
Right.
Most of the time, nobody was here on the weekend. And you've been in it long enough, and I've seen enough of this world that Friday, Saturday night, people lose what God-given sense they have. So I'm really behind you on let's get the 24-hour. I believe the people in this city deserve that. Now, addressing your long-term goal, the technology, the LPR, is there any, like the governor has law enforcement funds?
There is.
The state has funds, the feds have funds.
Yes, sir.
Can we maybe work on that?
There are grants available. A lot of these grants are time sensitive. For example, I know there's some that are fixing to open up for like bulletproof vests, scopes to search gas tanks now. And I don't know, as council members, if you guys have members or have friends who have pull with a county judge, but there's the, it used to be called Border Star, now it's called Lone Star Grant. It's a $1 million grant that we can put in for. But in order to put in for that, the county judge has to declare the county a disaster due to illegal immigrants. And our county judge refuses to do it in Bear County, even though we have the largest death of illegal immigrants in a 18-wheeler right down the road from here. They have refused to do it. But that is and so there's a buddy of mine, who's an ex-chief of police, with him and his wife. They own a company that writes grants for police departments. And he said, Nick, we'll get you that Lone Star grant. But then he calls me back and he's like, Bear County's not eligible for it. Yeah. Now, the investigator that applied here, he sits on the Border Prosecution Unit as well, the BPU unit. He says, Nick, I believe there is a loophole to apply for this grant, that's the Lone Star grant, Operation Lone Star. It's $1 million grant you can apply for. And that can be used for salary, for hire. You have to let the officers know we're hiring you on grant status. So if our grant goes away in 2 years, you may not have a job. They have to agree to it. But you can pay your salaries, you can pay raises, you can buy equipment. That grant can be used for anything. He says, I think there's a loophole because San Antonio PD was at the last border prosecution unit meeting that they had. He says, we've never seen them here. And they were here applying for the grant. So how can SAPD do it if you guys can't do it? I said, I'm not sure, because Corey, who's the guy who has the company, said that the county judge has to sign off on it as a disaster. The investigator that's applying for you said it used to be that way. He said, but I believe now there's a loophole. So I have to research on this. But either way, that grant has been closed to apply for fiscal year 2025. But we have till September of 2025 to apply for 2026. That's something I'm going to look into. But there are other types of grants out there for an LPR reader. That's one that we can get on the grant. Some of this other technology, the uploading to the cloud, I was able to get laptops for the city of Elmendorf through a grant. So there are grants for new laptops for the vehicle. But as far as the technology to upload your data and video cam, I've never heard of that one. But there are several grants out there for innovative technology. That's it.
no other questions.
I want to say that I'm very impressed with the information that you've offered us. I've never heard any information coming from, as part of the department. So I appreciate it, and I thank you.
Anybody else? Now we'll go into our stats for the month. Okay. So like I said, there was 206 calls for service. I'll just go through them line item. I put them in alphabetical order there for you, so it might be a little easier if you want to go back and read them later. But alarms for businesses, there was one. Alarms for fire, there was one. A medical alarm, one. Alarm at a residence, one. Animal call, and it was a pig call, one. There was 6 assault calls. Assisting Bexar County Fire, there was 4, and I don't know why they're called Bexar County FA instead of Bexar County FD, but that's the way the dispatch of Bexar County has to admit. Assisting EMS, there was 2 calls. Assisting the public, that could be anything from, and stop me if you have a question on what it may pertain to. Assisting public, somebody may with a flat tire or whatever that they call the sheriff's department, they send a deputy out there. 3, assisting other agencies. We had 1, Bexar County had 1. So it could have been either we were assisting maybe TPS on a traffic stop, or we were assisting Bexar County with a call, and then they were assisting us with a call. So 1 and 1. There was 1 burglary of a building, 1 burglary of a vehicle. CID follow-up. Castillo did 1, and Bexar County SO did 1. City ordinance violations. Castillo handled 9 of those. Civil matter custody, 3. Civil matter keep the peace, 3. And civil matter concerning property, there was 5. Crashes with injury, we had 2. Crashes with non-injury, we had 1. Criminal trespasses, 2. Damage of property, 4. Disturbance concerning a child, 1. Disturbance with family members, 3. Disturbance in the neighborhood, 2. Disturbance due to noise, 3. And verbal disturbances, 12. Keep in mind, verbal disturbances can always escalate. Disturbance shots heard, 4. I had 2 of those calls yesterday in the daytime. Emergency detention, 1. EMS calls, 21. And that's not a call for service for us. I just want to clarify why I put EMS calls for service in there. When it comes to fire and EMS calls, police officers are always going to be first on scene. Every second counts when it comes to getting CPR. I've had a 28-year career. I've only saved 1 life with CPR, but that 1 life meant something to somebody. So that's why I put these in there. We had 21 calls for service. EMS. Fire department, same reason why I put that in there. 8. I have been in 3 burning buildings in my life before fire department got there. Found runaways, 1. Information report, 13. That could be anything where they call the cops, we find out, we get there and say, we determine if there's not a criminal, it's not a criminal matter and it's not a civil matter, but we'll take your information report and document it for you. Injured or sick person, 1. An adult, not a child. Lost property, 1. Mental health crisis, 1. I will have you know that the female applicant that applied has, I believe, her mental health license and was working at the school doing that kind of stuff. Don't quote me on that, but I believe so. Missing person, 1. Patrol by request. So part of my, I'm sorry, let me throw it back to this. Now that I see patrol by request, part of my short-term plan as well, I want to incorporate a patrol by list. I believe every citizen should be able to call the PD and request a patrol by, like they're going to go on vacation. I'm going to be out of town. Can you do a patrol by my house? And so on this patrol by log, the officers will literally have a physical paper in their possession, and they're going to mark the time and turn it to me. And at the end of every shift, I'll get it in my box saying they went by this house at this time or that time. So if something does happen, we know the last time the officer went by and the next time negative. We can at least narrow it down to a time frame. But that's patrol by request. There was 8 of them. Probation violation, 1.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
sorry, don't mean to interrupt. Just to let you know, we do have that on our website where you can give us notification. It should be, if they fill it out, it should go to that chief of police email. But that is on our website. So
Awesome.
hopefully you receive one soon. I'll test it out. Actually, let's find out tomorrow.
Great. That would be awesome. And reckless drivers, 2. Recovered vehicles, 2. Suspicious activity, 2. Suspicious person, 8. Suspicious vehicle, 3. Sex offenses, 2. Theft, 2. Theft of ID, 3. There was another sexual assault case that occurred yesterday. Let you guys know about that. Report of 1. Threats, 2. UUMVs, that's stolen vehicles. We had 1, and we took that one. Welfare checks, 11. Wanted persons, 1. And 911 hanging. Probably the most dangerous calls you can go to because you don't know what you're going to when you get there. 30 of them. 4 for us and 26 for Bexar County. So a total of 206 calls for service. Citations, or not citations, I'm sorry, traffic stops. Sandy Oaks PD initiated 3 traffic stops for the month. Now, I will say Castillo was helping me a lot with the administrative part past month. There should be no reason why we should have this type of staff there next month. By no means can I tell them write citations and warnings, but we do need to be out there enforcing traffic violations. And Bexar County SO had 2 traffic stops. For the month of August.
And Chief, you said of the 206, right? I think 206,
Yes,
we responded to 16.
16 calls for service were responded to by us.
I guess that's like 84% is Bexar County.
Yeah,
So.
that's, in my opinion, unacceptable. It's almost to the point of why have a police department if you're only going to respond to 16 calls and there's over 200. I mean, I put it that way. That's just the way I feel.
Hold up, that the question's been asked quite often. But
there's extenuating circumstances. Of
well,
course,
and I agree too.
Yeah, we can either make it better or we can let it evolve. So let's make it better. Okay. All right.
Any other questions on the presentation? All right. So let's move right along. Discuss center possible action on approving an estimate, installing a 110 mini split and a dedicated exhaust for the evidence room. So I'll just tee this up. Basically, in speaking with the chief, our evidence room is not in compliance with CGIS, and the recommendation is to install a separate ventilation system, rather a separate central air system, and an additional ventilation system, so that way any chemicals, any findings are not being ingested by any of our other departments, anybody in office that happens to be there, because the ventilation system is centralized and it's shared amongst the building. So that's why we're presenting. And really, we can discuss C and D at the same time because they work hand in hand. Obviously, the AC company is not going to do electrical work. We need to do the electrical work. I want to say Priscilla, our public works director, did work on an electrical quote. I can't recall if we got it in time, but we're looking for, on that particular one, we're just looking for an NTE so we can go out there and say, let's knock this out. Let's get this project done.
We've only got one quote, one bid for the AC part. I mean,
So Dilmac is our central air company, our AC company that we've used on multiple occasions. We have a service plan with them, so they are our preferred vendor, I guess you would say. And I believe because it's under the $10,000 mark, that is okay within spending limits to not have 3 bids.
Well,
Charles, correct me
excuse
if I'm wrong, Charles, on that last part.
I was just saying it would serve just to give us an idea of what it goes for. I mean, not that we need 3, but get
Well,
an idea.
I've had agency work done at my house, and I can tell you, I've never went with the first bid, and I've probably saved thousands by getting multiple bids, quotes. I would say, is this something that has to be done, a month out? Are we good with a month out?
So, yeah, well, I feel like I will say this. CGIS, when I was reading through CGIS, they have their own policies and procedures, and that is every agency in the state of Texas, it says, shall be audited at least once every 5 years. This agency has never been audited.
Right.
So they could come tomorrow, they could come next year, I don't know. But when they show up, they're going to ding us on that if we don't get it fixed now. I feel like, yeah, we can probably go 2 or 3 months, because if they've never shown up before, they're probably not going to show up anytime soon. But in speaking with Chief Benya, he says he just got audited a couple months ago. He just showed up in Elmendorf and audited them. So I don't know when they don't give you a heads up. Like, hey, we're going to be here next week. They're not like Tico. When Tico wants to come to your records, they get, hey, we're going to be there in a couple of weeks, have everything in line. He just going to show up. I don't have an answer for that, but I feel like we'd be good for a month, 2 months.
I'd like to get a couple more bids, quotes. So it's close to the $10,000 mark.
I'd like to address that, Alderman Tremblay. I've been involved in a lot of pride quotes out here. And I've checked a lot of Gilmart's estimates and quotes. It's really hard to get an AC contractor to come out and bid anything for the city of San Diego. Gilmart has, because I've looked at their markups, I've looked at their bids compared with others, and they've always given us a good price. And a 1-ton mini split installed with a through roof penetration for under $10,000. That's extremely competitive. With the split system, you have lines going through the roof, electrical service going through the roof, and drains going under the building. I think we could spend another month looking for bids, and we're not gonna save $900. That's just.
I mean, I trust your opinion. Yeah. Working this somewhat in an association.
Do you want to address that?
So I have in the past with my history with AC companies, I have actually gotten 3 bids from other AC companies, and in doing so, Charles has been a witness to a lot of those. And you want to talk about gouging the bid size? Some of these companies will try to do that. Charles has knowledge, experience. So in dealing with Domac, I feel that that's a really good company so far that I've had, that the city has actually dealt with. They're not going to be allowed to run anything through our roof because we spent over $40,000 on our roof, and I made that perfectly clear. They will be attaching it in the other room, running everything into the floor, and they'll run it to the back of the building. The ventilation system will also be ran through the attic with AC. There is space in between the roof and the tile squares. There is considered an attic. They will be running it through there, and they'll run it to the back. the ventilation and the AC will all be run to the back of the building. That way the customers come out the front, want ingested in it, anything going on the side of the building, they want ingested in it, so it's easy for classes. That's what you're getting the price for there. The only thing I am waiting for, and I did try to several times to reach out to the electrical companies, is the quote on what it's going to cost for the electrical switch. So there's going to need to be a switch for this ventilation system, so we can actually have the city can have control over it, the police department can have control over the ventilation. They want to turn the switch off. They have to run it, not mistaken, anywhere from 10 to 12 hours, and they're able to turn that switch off. So that's where the electric thing comes into play. So hopefully it won't be too expensive, but I'm just waiting on that.
Do you have any kind of a number?
Not even close to it.
Okay, because that's my concern. I have no concern with the air conditioning quote, but I don't know how we're going to generate an NTE without even a name.
Average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it could be an option to possibly pass so they can work on, I guess.
Well, the thing of it is, in the terms in here, they say if the electrician holds them back, they're going to charge us more money. Because they'll have to make the repeat trip if they're not coordinating with the electrician.
And they have to have it.
So for the air conditioning,
So why don't
does he have a schematic or some wiring diagram that the electrician needs to look at too? I mean, because
I guess he would know.
No.
He would know. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Let me think about air conditioning.
Let me just jump right in the middle of this. The 1-ton split system's a 20 amp breaker, 240. Every electrician in town knows that. I guess the holdup is a 12-hour on split.
well, look,
Go ahead, Mayor.
yes, sir. So look, why don't we just do this, right? If the concern with the NTE and the electrical is the biggest issue, the biggest hurdle, I think Charles has the right point, which was made earlier, that Dilmac has been fair. They've treated us right. They are a preferred vendor. They've done plenty of work for us all throughout the city hall and in the park. Let's table those two, or let's postpone those for the next meeting. That gives us an idea to come up with an NTE. I would have liked to have spent it in this budget, in this current fiscal year, just so we could be done with it. But I mean, a delay of 2 weeks, hopefully we don't get, called out in the next month or so. But I mean, we've gone this long. Let's just kick the can relatively down to the next 2 weeks.
An NTE for $5,000, and if the bid comes in, if he comes in, it's more than that. We can authorize or do an NTE for $8,000.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just opened it up.
If we're that interested in getting it done pronto, let's just put a number there.
Okay, let's handle it one item at a time.
Yeah, let's go.
Agenda item 9C. I move that we approve the estimate from Still Mac not to exceed $9,999.99.
Just the
I'll second.
I just need to that estimate number. The last two numbers may be incorrect from what the actual estimate is. I thought it was the last two digits were 86 on the actual estimate.
Well, sir, I'm going
going
over and to give an NTE.
Okay.
And we can, without going through a formal bid process, authorize $9,999 and 99 cents.
The police department.
What's that?
The police department line item.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
I already seconded, but I don't know.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So I have a motion from Alderman Fillinger to accept estimate 707408976, and a second by Alderman Rapino to create an NTE of $9,999.99. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed. All right, that decision is unanimous. Moving right along. Discuss and or possible action on an NTE for electrical work to complete installation of the mini split. Throw out a
Okay.
number, and we'll fight it to the very end, so that way we can get a good deal.
Okay. Agenda item 9D. I move that we approve electrical contracting services not to exceed $8,500.
Okay, got
I'll
a motion.
second that too.
Okay, I got a motion from Alderman Fillinger and a second from Alderman Rapino to create an NTE for electrical work to complete the installation of a mini split up to $8,500, $8,500.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed. All right, moving right along. Updates and announcements from Park Advisory Committee Chair Alderman Rapino with possible discussion interaction. Sir, you have the floor.
This is liable to be quite lengthy. The Parks Committee meeting was set for September 3rd, and due to unforeseen circumstances, it did not take place. The next meeting will take place. When is National Night Out?
October 1st.
Is any October 1st? So
October 1st.
Yes, that's what I thought. So the next meeting will take place on October 8th. So that's all I have.
And Tom, let's actually let's try to wrangle up the committee. And Chief, let's put something on the board like very early next week. We need to. I forgot about National Night Out, so we need to put something together for that. But appreciate it, Tom. Any questions for Tom?
Nope.
All right, then we will move right along. So let's jump to item. Where is it at?
12B.
No, yeah, you're correct. 12B. Discuss and or possible action on an ordinance abolishing the Planning and Zoning Commission and providing for the City Council to consider planning and zoning issues without the necessity of Planning and Zoning Commission. So because we've been struggling to resolve item 11A and 11B, the idea to abolish was thrown out a few weeks ago, and so now it's being presented today. It's up for discussion. Y'all have the floor.
I think it's the only way to move forward.
Okay. Yeah. The city council has the option of we will be planning and zoning. We will be the board of adjustment. It's a lot of work, but we have been struggling with planning and zoning commission for 5 years. We have some documents, one completed, some documents partially completed. But the biggest issue is having a meeting. Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado have been appointed as an ad hoc committee to work with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and most of the called meetings are not held because we cannot get a quorum together. I suggested well over a year ago that we dissolve the commission and assign the work to the city council. I would be glad to work with Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado as an ad hoc committee to the council to work on documents and bring forth our recommendations for planning and zoning, and then the council as a planning and zoning commission could vote on the zoning ordinances. I'm done.
I'll second it, if that's a motion.
That wasn't a motion.
That was a motion. No.
That was a statement.
I would agree.
I
It's going
think
nowhere. It's the only way to move forward.
I think the council can be just as ineffective as the commission can.
At least we show up.
I think you show up.
I believe so also. I agree.
I move that we dissolve the planning and zoning commission.
There's no,
I
There's
believe
no
we should
ordinance.
discuss the
Do we have-
ordinance.
Yes, well, I move that we waive the 2 reading rule. And that's the first motion.
I'll second. I'll second.
All right. So if I heard everything correctly, I believe Alderman Tremblay made a motion to adopt an ordinance abolishing the planning and
Resolution.
First one
Hold
is
on.
to waive the 2 reading rule, the first motion.
Okay. Can you restate that? Sorry, I just didn't hear you.
Sir,
You have to
if
do that.
we're doing a resolution, it's not a 2 reading. Okay, I'm reading the wrong one.
Yeah, this is for the. No, we don't need to see it. Oh, here it is.
So
I'm not finding that.
Yeah.
the
full
motion
B.
is to waive the 2
Okay.
reading rule on the ordinance abolishing the planning and zoning commission. I don't have an ordinance numbered yet.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so the first motion is to waive the 2 reading rules for abolishing the Planning and Zoning Commission by Alderman Tremblay. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, and I have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, that passes unanimous. All right, what's the next motion?
The next motion is I make a motion I move to approve ordinance number 2024 that will be filled in later. It's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks abolishing the Planning and Zoning Commission, providing for the City Council to consider planning and zoning issues without the necessity of the Planning and Zoning Commission, providing for severability, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for proper notice and meeting the established and effective date.
I'll second.
Okay, and this is an I don't know if Cassandra can hear me. This is an ordinance or a resolution?
Ordinance.
Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay and a second from Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado, adopting an ordinance abolishing the Planning and Zoning Commission and providing for the City Council to consider planning and zoning issues without the necessity of the Planning and Zoning Commission. All those in favor say aye.
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 That motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. So then we can roll back up to 11A and 11B, and we will pull those. What's the proper phrase? We will strike those from the agenda to be discussed. Okay.
Thank God.
All right. So now let's move on to 12A. Discuss under possible action on an ordinance regulating residential fences. Alderman Tremblay, Alderman Fillinger, you have the floor.
All right. The main purpose of bringing this up is just writing to the city and noticing the amount of fences that are very high on the front of property. Materials being used blocking the view of the houses. I believe it poses a danger for first responders. Being EMS, fire, and police as well. So my thought was to I tried to look at other cities to see what they're doing. So the idea is to look at height, also look at materials, look at fences that are erected on corners that are blocking line of sight for vehicles as well. Yeah, I have some some literature that I've found that deals with the materials. Nothing permitted within that's called the site triangle on the corners. And there's a measurement there that goes up 30 feet, at least 30 feet each way, and then an angle is drawn from corner to corner. Any fence that abuts a street should not have a maximum height of 4 feet. And I know we're going to run into an issue with fences that are already erected. Don't know if legally we can go in and have them modify these fences, because it is a safety hazard. I would refer to the attorney for that and the police chief as well. The back and sides of buildings, unless they're abutting a street, can go as high as 8 feet if they like. Privacy fences, really not a material. Not if you can't see through it in the front of a home, it's obstructing the line of sight to the home. I think it's an issue, and there are plenty of them out here that they're done. I mean, we have some metal fences that are 8-10 feet high.
10 feet.
I think if you're building a fence 10 feet high, you're hiding something.
Well, to address that, so my understanding is there's a state law that restricts fences to 8 feet. So if I'm understanding that correctly, our police department can strike 10-foot tall fences without any action on our part. We do, I believe, need to address. I believe we need to address front fences. Anything beyond the front of the house or structure. We believe we should address that. Behind the front line of the structure, I'm good with private fence, do whatever you want to. But again, the health and safety says I would prefer somebody seeing a little bit of smoke coming from the front of my house than wait till the fire is seen over again.
Right.
I see this example from Heath, Texas, and I don't see a problem other than E here, where it says fences in front of the front building line of the residential structure on a subject lot shall be ornamental of wrought iron or tubular steel, and shall have at least 75% area, open area per linear feet. I don't think that that's a reasonable restriction within this community. I would recommend that picket type fences don't exceed 4 feet, but that chain link fence, which is like 95% of an area, could be up to 6 feet in front of a home, just because of the dog issues that we have.
Right.
So would C not pertain also? Because it says 4 feet rear C? What do you think about that one?
I can see.
Well, because it's saying maximum height of 4 feet.
Yeah, I don't think that's reasonable.
Because they're abutting a street.
Well, and the issue here is we have lots here anywhere from 4/10 of an acre to 8 acres. If I have a dog on my 8-acre property, I may want a 6-foot chain link fence to keep him on my property. And I don't think it's reasonable to say, well, we're going to you have to build a divider fence in the middle of your property to keep the dog outside. Because quite honestly, I want the dog at the front of the house too.
Mhm.
So, I think I think the 4 foot restriction would be valid for picket fences, privacy fences, masonry fences, but I think a chain link fence.
So you think 6 feet?
I think 6 feet for a chain link fence.
Mhm.
Hey, Charles. Well, and council. Sorry, Alderman Fillinger. I think what we need to do is just word it such as letter E, right? So that it's a 75% open area per linear foot. So and really kind of structure it to where it's that, and maybe like you said, a 6 foot high, because what we don't want is to put our panel 6 feet high. I think we want to put I think we do want to have them to put a 5 foot fence or 6 foot fence, but it needs to have that 75% open area per linear foot, right? Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying, and I believe we can define what's an acceptable material. Our panel is not. However, I would think a nice masonry fence of 4 feet, which has 0% open area, would be acceptable in the community.
So like a 4 foot brick wall per se, just
Yeah.
okay, so I can see it in my head. Okay.
Are you saying on the front of the property?
Yes, sir.
So then perhaps it reads, right, it gives the two options, right? If you're going to have a 0% open area, then it can only go 4 feet high. If you're going to
It
do,
can only be masonry.
right.
Okay.
And if you're going to do something taller, it has to have, again, using their terminology, 75% open area per linear foot.
I believe that would be valid.
Okay.
So you don't want to dictate the ornamental wrought iron and tubular steel. You don't want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, if you want to put the money down, put in a 4-inch spacing on a 6 foot wrought iron fence to keep your dog in the front yard, I would have no problem with that. Okay. I don't see it addressed in here, but you can't have chain link fencing and grow vines because you do 75%. And the same thing would be, we need to be able to see if there's a fire, and you'll see that over a 4 foot fence. You'll see that through a picket fence. You'll see that through a wrought iron fence. You'll see that through chain link fence. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
So do we have any issues with the line of sight?
The sight triangle. Well, I'm looking at an example from Hays, Kansas Unified Development Code, Chapter 6, which includes a night picture, and I think that we should address this required sight triangle, and it says that the height requirements, and if you have a plant in that site triangle, it can't,
Protrude.
well, it can't,
Protrude, keep right, it can't obstruct.
well, obstruct or obscure site visibility by the more than 25% of the area between the ground and the sea. So, landscaping structures or fences that protrude no more than 30 inches above the adjacent highway may be permitted within the site triangle. So, using the Hayes example that we have here would give us the definition of site triangle in item B of the Heath Code. Okay.
Right.
Are you taking notes on all that?
I give her a copy.
So because we're gonna run into a bunch of changes right now. Do we want to? How do we want to go about that? Obviously, we're gonna have to bring this back to be approved in a proper ordinance, right? Do we want to say it again?
Right. The objective of what we're trying to do is create an ordinance with these examples, using these examples to build the ordinance. Cassandra has a copy in front of her. She's been taking notes.
Okay.
So it'll come back to council for approval.
I think the action here is we need to authorize the city attorney to generate an ordinance with her notes from our discussion of these two exhibits.
Was that your motion?
Why don't we send a draft around and ask for input and then come back with after we get all the comments, and then come back with an ordinance that we can all agree upon, rather than.
And that's what we're saying.
We're doing.
Okay, all right. It didn't sound that way to me, but okay.
Okay, then I'll make a motion then. I move that we authorize the city attorney to generate a draft ordinance using the two examples provided and her notes on our discussion.
Second that.
I'll second.
All right. So I have a motion from Alderman Fillinger and a second from Alderman Rapino to authorize the city attorney to create a draft ordinance utilizing the information we've provided and the notes that have been, or the items that have been mentioned previously, to present a ordinance to council at the next scheduled meeting, or however long it takes. Does that sound fair?
That's the motion.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Tom, can I get an aye? You're on mute, but I see your mouth. Okay.
Yeah, I said aye.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you, sir. All right. Moving right along. Okay, 12C. So this is in your agenda packet, and this is what we were discussing earlier, what I had mentioned earlier. So let me pull up my item. Give me 1 second. Where to go? So while I'm finding it, the basics of it is my proposal to help our chief of police get his goals accomplished, at least the majority of them, is to look at our agenda and let's repurpose the budget for the city administrator into salaries for the police department.
Oh, hold on just a second, sir.
Sure.
What agenda item were we talking about?
This is 12C.
12B.
C.
12C?
Yep. 12C. C is in car.
All right. Go ahead.
Yep. So basically take the administrator budget, allocate that to the police department, and let's really open the checkbook, guys. I mean, I think the chief made a great point on a lot of things, and the way we fix it is we have to start spending some of the money that we've increased our taxes for. And if you go across next door, they're asking, what's the purpose of this department? We've discussed that, right? And so my recommendation is to take the administrative budget and move that to the salaries for the police department, so we can get an investigator, so we can hire 2 or 3 more police officers. That's including the current budget that he has in salaries.
My only issue with that, Mayor, is those duties that are on the administrator, and I know you've said in the past you don't have time to do a lot of these things. I would I need to have those duties, and I don't want to burden the police chief with this. I think his purpose and his responsibility is to set. He's going to have to set up the department. If we're going to give him these officers, he needs to focus on that. If he has suggestions as far as administrator items, that administrative issues, we would be more welcome to hear that and to take some of your suggestions on. But as far as taking on HR, taking on personnel matters, the budget, those items need to be handled by the council. If the mayor can't see them as the acting city administrator, then I believe he should give you those functions out to the council members and let us handle those. So
yeah, and I think
would be my.
But I think it's moving forward with that. Here's my take. Most every ordinance that has duties assigned to the city administrator, or the mayor in his absence, also has, or his designee. So with council's agreement, then the mayor can, and in some cases should, designate acting to city council. And if we don't want that, then we have to have the city administrator. I personally, and I'm old and tired, but I personally would accept additional tasking to achieve the police department we need to have.
And I agree too. I'm all on board on
That's
that.
where I'm at.
I mean,
that's what I'm getting at. That's the only way that I can see that would agree with moving all of this, the administrator dollars over to the police department, so that we can somewhat make this, the administrator duties, make them a little more effective. And I'm not trying to knock you down there, no. Mayor. I'm just saying we need to let's reorganize the administrator duties. Let's look at the whole list of duties of the administrator, and let's sit down with the council and say, okay, look, you can have personal talk one-on-ones if you'd like. And say, look, we
all that to the side. I would move that we adjust the budget, moving the city administrator line item into additional police officer line item. Is that what we're looking to do?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
All right. So at this time, I do have a motion from Alderman Fillinger to move the $104,000 that we have allocated to the city administrator and reallocate that to the police department salaries, and a second from Alderman Rapino. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed. All right.
Now, do we want to adopt the ordinance, sir?
let's adopt the ordinance.
Okay, then I move we adopt an ordinance of the City Council of the City of San Diego amending the annual budget for fiscal year 2024-25 for municipal purposes, providing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. And this will be amending the ordinance number 2024-237.
I'll second.
All right, I got a motion from Alderman Fillinger and a second from Alderman Rapino to approve amending ordinance number 2024-237.
Yes.
Okay, 2024-237, amending the 24-25 fiscal year budget for municipal purpose. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed. All right. Moving right along, discuss and or possible action on the appointment, compensation, hours, duties, benefits, and start date for the position of a police officer. So because we were able to do that, we do have some flexibility now. As the chief mentioned earlier, we do have a investigator that is already interviewed with our chief. We do have a patrol officer that is already interviewed with our chief. Sir, if you want to take a little bit more time to talk through them, or actually, let me stop there. Does the council have any questions about hiring an investigator and a police officer?
Usually on the interviews, who sat down in on them? I mean, I was
on police officers. It's typically just the chief.
Okay.
The chief brings the recommendation. We normally have a executive meeting to discuss compensation and matters of duty and benefits. I'm highly hesitant to just sign off this without any further discussion.
Without executive session, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying that we need more information.
Because so let me give you some more information, and chief, correct me when I'm wrong. So for the patrol officer position, the compensation was $48,000.
Correct.
Okay, hours are normal 40 hours. Duties is patrol officer. Benefits are to be established after 90 days. And I think the start date for this potential position wouldn't be for at least another 30 days because we need to finish up the background check, the fingerprints, the physical fitness test per TCO requirements. And so that unfortunately does take time. It could happen a lot faster, just depending on how quickly they get to us. But that's unfortunately kind of where we sit.
Are we going with the 90-day probation?
Yes, sir.
Training with Corporal Castillo. How's all that going to work?
Chief.
Yes, so I'm in the process of trying to come up with a field training officer FTO program. For a town this size, I would recommend at least a minimum of 3 months of FTO before we release somebody with zero experience on the street. Now
that's been our previous practice. Corporal Castillo, one of his assigned duties previously was field training officer,
and he's a certified.
And of course, on the street time was shared between he and the former chief. So yeah,
and like I said, on somebody with zero experience, this applicant has some experience, not much. I would consider zero experience. So the 90 days probation, right? FTO, not probation, FTO. 1 year probation, 90 days FTO is what I recommend. For the investigator per se, there is no FTO program. It's hit the ground running and let's go. If for somebody per se, I had an applicant call me yesterday. He's been working in Elmendorf for the past 10 years or so. Somebody like him doesn't need the entire 9 days. It's get out here, learn the streets, and let's get to work. But that's where the FTO program would range depending on experience. But the year probation is going to be uniform for all. Yep. That's what I would.
So the training on the one officer is 90 days and the investigator is 0, but they're both on a year probation.
Right.
And on the one that has 0 experience, did he just get out of the academy or?
No. So she attended the SAPD Academy.
Uh-huh.
She did not complete her probation period at SAPD.
Okay.
And I checked in and done research on why she did not complete her FTO program. She would have never been let go from SAPD if she would have completed the FTO program. I can put it at that after doing the background check. So
do we know why she didn't?
Yes.
I mean, I've got a hunch
of what?
Of why she didn't complete it. Was it for?
She violated a policy and procedure. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have spoken to her. I will say this. I am a big believer on second chances, and I've spoken to her about this. I can tell you, Our Lady of the Lake, for example, there was a female officer at the City of Alice for about 15 years, did something she shouldn't have done, was let go, was kind of shunned upon by the law enforcement community. Unfortunately, that's the way it is with our brothers and sisters in blue. Mess up, they kind of done. You never hear from them. So I spoke to the chief at Our Lady of the Lake. They gave her a second chance. 2023, she's off for a year. So, and she's been there about 6 years now, but she was off for a year last year. I'm a big believer on second chances. Now, what this officer did at SAPD is not something that you're going to read about in the papers. It's not something that's going to come out in the news. It was a violation of policy, what she did. And when you are on the FTO when you're on probation, you can be let go for any reason. SAPD unfortunately has some people that do some really crazy things that don't do their job because they're already off the FTO program. Mm-hmm. But what she did, in my opinion, was minimal compared to what other officers have done at SAPD and are still working. But it's because she was still on the FTO program that she was let go.
Well, do we think that so 48,000, and we've talked about increasing these pay so that we can keep people. Do you think we're going to keep somebody paying 48,000?
So I have an incentive program, and it's inputted with even Corporal Castillo, okay, at his pay rate that he's at now. And I said, you know, you've been an officer how long? 14 years, and you have what license right now? My basic police officer. There's 4 levels of police officer license: your basic, intermediate, advanced, and master. And I said, let's get a pay incentive for training purposes, right? So we get her at 48. She has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice already. She's eligible to go straight into the intermediate license already. It's completing the amount of hours of training. Work on getting your hours of training on your own time. Now, the department is responsible for providing you with the training that is mandatory by TCO. I feel we are responsible for that. But other training which is required to advance to an intermediate or an advanced or a master police officer license, that's on you. So if you want to move up to the next pay grade, work on getting these licenses. So therefore, 48 wouldn't be the ending point for her. That would be the starting point for her. I think somebody like her, she's not a young 20-some-year-old officer. She's in her 40s. She's very timid. She's very I don't want to say timid, but she's very well mannered. She's not going to create a disturbance with our public, which is what I like in an officer. She doesn't have that aggressive demeanor. I think she is, which is the same thing I told the chief at Oak when this 40-some-year-old female got hired at Oak. I think she would be a lifer for San Diego, just like I told the chief that officer probably going to be a lifer for Oak. And sure enough, she's been there 6 years and was officer of the year. I feel this is the same type of officer that would make this. This is her first and last stop, basically, because of her age.
My only concern is we're gonna hire some people. Right. We're gonna $48,000, which is I don't know, about $23 an hour.
Right. With potential to gain more, so prove to me you want that pay raise and bring in your intermediate life.
I think
so.
I'm sorry.
We're bringing her in at about a corporal. What our scale is at is sort of corporal. You got a patrol and then corporal, sergeant, and so on. I guess we need to sit down and look our pay scale for police officers, because we're going to make an investment on these people coming in, correct? And we can't. It's been a swinging door, in and out, in and out, in and out. We make investments. Same thing with animal control. We make investments with people, on people, and it just doesn't pay off. We need to.
If I may, in this case, because it's such a case, right? I think that starting her at the 48 is a good thing, only because she doesn't have experience, and he's going to be watching her to where she has to prove herself.
Mm-hmm.
So
are we saying 48 for all the individuals she's going to bring in?
No. I was just talking about this particular one.
But at hers 48. The best year is something different. Now, I have an interview tomorrow with a police officer who he's got his, I think he advanced, and they have a master police officer license already. So somebody who is a retired military police officer who had 21 years as an MP, and now he's been a police officer, and I believe he's got the advanced license. I think somebody like that would have to come in more than somebody as this officer, maybe 50 or 51. And of course, that would mean Corporal Castillo would have to get some type of bump to 52 or 53, because he's already our corporal, and he has proven that this is where his home is. We can't just bring somebody in.
So I'm going to jump way out of your own.
Just a second, guys. My battery's running low, so I might fade out here. But go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna make a bold statement here. I believe department heads should be accountable to the mayor for their budget. If you can hire this officer and 4 other officers with the amended, or 3 other officers with the amended budget, I don't think we need to worry about what each officer is making until it's time to talk about raises. And that will come from you to the mayor to council. So if you have full confidence that this woman would make a good officer for the city of San Diego, I think we need to back you in that. And if the mayor feels like $48,000 would work with the budget, we don't need to worry about that. But department heads should manage their department budget, and the mayor is tasked with overseeing that those budgets are managed correctly. Just me.
I agree.
Okay. Well, with that, do we need a motion? Do we need an action here, Mr. Mayor?
I think we need an action we won't have a swearing obviously until they're ready, but I do think we need an action to move forward in the hiring process, meaning submit the background check, get the drug test, get the fingerprinting, and so on and so forth, the miscellaneous requirements from TCOL.
I'm gonna just throw this back out there. I think the council should be aware of. Sure, you have the authority. You have the authority to hire your police officer, but the salary should be brought to the council. We are still responsible for personnel actions. That's part of our duties, and the budget as well. So I would say that we would authorize them to hire that one position. Yep. At a cost of $48,000, at an annual salary of $48,000, and we move forward with that.
Then make a motion, sir.
Is that a motion?
Yeah,
That's the motion. The motion is to authorize the Chief Juarez to fill his officer, is authorized to make an offer to fill his position at an annual salary of $48,000.
Is that for the
I'll
chief?
second.
Yes.
The investigator as well. So the
Well, hold on.
Let's do this.
Let me get this motion in. So I got a motion from Alderman Tremblay and a second from Alderman Rapino to authorize the chief of police to make an offer to the police officer for a police officer position at the cost of $48,000 annually. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed. All right, that passes unanimously. All right, Chief, go ahead. Or I think Alderman Tremblay, you had a question?
Yes, the salary you would offer for your.
So the salary I would like to have for the investigator coming from B County. This investigator does have a master police officer license, has 27 years, 25 years experience. He is the head investigator for B County. He was the prior commander of the Central South Texas Criminal Investigative Unit. He was a prior lieutenant for the Duval County Sheriff's Department. So he's got all types of investigative experience. His salary right now is $70,000. I would like to bring him to the exact salary he's making right now. Not a penny more, not a penny less. I feel that when you have somebody who's already working at the DA's office, head of the DA's office, who better to have working with the district attorney's office in getting cases done and move forward. And I feel with the salary that we've got now, we can make it happen.
And he's already an investigator?
Yes, he wouldn't need to take, he's the head investigator.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't need to take fingerprints. He wouldn't need to take drug tests. He'd be ready to use.
I mean, I don't want to rain on his parade with all the experience and everything, but I just want to know why he wants to come here.
I don't know how else to put it except for me.
For you, okay. Because you've known him for a while.
We served on the narcotics task force together and the special crimes unit together. And we have worked together.
And so his primary function, mission will be to clear up our backlog of cases and prepare future cases for forwarding to the district attorney.
Correct. I will say this. You'll never see me say in front of him, but he is probably the best investigator, most detailed investigator I've ever.
So within that salary for this position, do you see overtime coming up? Because we're talking $70,000, and if we got to incur overtime costs, now we're exceeding that 70. You got to think about that budget you have as well. So goes the same state for your police officer. Right. We've got to watch overtime. It's throughout the whole city. We need to watch overtime.
Right. What I would propose on that is comp time.
Yes.
If you work 12 hours today, give me 4 hours tomorrow.
Are police officers entitled to comp time in lieu of dollars under the Fair Labor Standards Act?
Yes. City of Alice, we always had choice. You want to take comp time, you want to get paid overtime. And that was a municipality, and we were civil service as well.
Cassandra, you have knowledge on that?
Let me, if I can address.
Mm-hmm.
They're 40 hours a week. if you get your 40 hours in 3 days, go home and start again next week. Okay. If and I don't see any problem with an investigator working 40 hours a week here.
Well, he does have to attend court, does he?
Yeah, but
So that could be,
that's what I'm saying.
something, so he takes time off and do it.
Yeah.
Can we make him a non-exempt? Can we make him a non-exempt employee?
And that's my
think so.
question here under Fair Labor Standards. Like, you got exempt employees and non-exempt.
So I
What
would say
type of employees are police officers?
another recommendation is when the city of Elmendorf hired me as their investigator, like they hired me as their lieutenant investigator. So now the chief and myself are the only ones on salary. Everybody else is paid hourly. So no matter how many hours I worked over there working investigation, I was going to get paid the same. That is another option where we can place him on salary as a lieutenant investigator, and then it's capped. No matter how many hours.
I wouldn't accept it. I wouldn't accept that position.
I know. I did.
Salary.
I did.
That's
So that they have me working every holiday.
Yeah.
Every holiday.
Because
that's a slippery slope.
my experience with salary positions,
Mm-hmm.
no,
Mm-hmm.
I have never worked a 40. Oh, wait a minute. I've never worked a 50. I've never worked.
You never worked.
I've never worked a 55,000 salary.
Put your tongue out
There was always
Never worked.
there is always emergency. Somebody's got to work the holiday, and I don't care if it's Sunday afternoon. No, I'm just saying no.
Now, I'm just saying it's an option, and
I
I know he'll do it.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion that I'll authorize you to make an offer of $70,000 salary to fill the position.
I'll second.
Quick.
Quick.
There's no time delay on this phone.
I'm good.
All right. So the motion is to make an offer for the position of an investigator for a $70,000 with a $70,000 salary. All those in favor say. I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay and a second from Alderman Rapino. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
I'm
All those opposed. All right. So we'll go ahead and Chief, we'll go ahead and start moving forward on that tomorrow. All right. I think we're down to our last item.
oh good. I'm down to 6%.
Okay. Oh, wait.
What?
Wait. Did I miss one?
So we got
No.
Well,
Two items.
Personal
12E.
Oh,
12E.
oh,
Discuss.
do next week. Do
Yeah.
next month.
Discuss and possible action on amending the personnel policy manual. Alderman Fillinger, Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado, you have the floor.
Okay, if this example I have before me is what's been done, it's not acceptable, sir. Council approved table of contents, page numbers, and we have basically the same thing. It's just the policy amended.
All the policies are amended as we have requested. The table of contents and the page numbers have been rather difficult to add to that document without completely rewriting it. I've tried for numerous hours to try to add a table. Table of contents is easy, right? That's the simple part. It's the pages that I can't get to line up on the document. However it was created previously, it needs to be rewritten on a blank sheet of paper on a blank Word document
Mayor.
to allow it to accept the page numbers as you requested. Yes, ma'am.
I'm getting a nodding no from our city secretary, and I'm gonna ask her right out if this is something she would take on.
Well,
Yeah, if the mayor gives me time to take it off.
Okay.
What was the comment? I didn't hear.
If the mayor,
Send me the existing file, and I'll put table of contents and page numbers in it.
I say this with all due respect. I've been working in Excel and in Microsoft Word for 25 years. You're more than happy to. I'll be glad to send you the digital copy so you can work on it. I'm telling you, something's wrong with it. But okay, that's no problem.
If there's something wrong with it, then we need to correct it, because this is going to be with the city for, we hope, decades and centuries. So it's going to have to be amended. We need to deal with the bottom issue here and get it to where we can work with it.
Okay, that's fine. I think we lost Rapino. It's now 9:51. Hang on. It's 9:51. It looks like Alderman Rapino has left the chat.
okay.
We still maintain a quorum with Alderman Fillinger, Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado, and Alderman Tremblay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
How about you put a meeting that here, all the civil content sections, and we reported that.
Do we not have his copy?
I never saw the copy. So he did the page numbers.
What was the question?
I thought Ken Robbins reported a meeting, did it all that had needed civil content section. It all been formatted to be easily released. But Jonathan was not. But the other part was the ethics regarding employees was in the back. I did not see the section. That would be a section. That would not be, that is not include section, because I thought it followed the
Is it in here?
It's the one in the back with the
As long as Charles receives it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear any of that.
The ethics?
it's in this class, the very class.
Just be sure that Charles gets the ethics portion, because it's actually at the end of the manual.
Oh, okay. To add that in? Yeah.
Yeah, make sure he gets that part.
Okay.
Well, we just scanned it to you. So,
No.
no? Okay.
The employee is very similar to the one that the Comcast offers on officials. It's almost verbatim for employees. It removes some of the requirements of state law that only apply to city officials or new jobs, and some other seats that are mostly that did not apply to employees. It was more to apply to.
Okay.
I'm not even I'm an electronic document. I can look up the word. I can look up.
Well, we're just making sure that he adds that to electronic transfer to you, because it was.
When I get done.
What was? Again, I'm not hearing whatever you're saying.
We've got a plan, man. You're going to send me the document. I'll get the sections and pages and
Everything
table
done.
of contents, and then I believe we're ready to move on to agenda item 12F.
Was that was the only thing to discuss on the handbook?
Postpone till
our next regular meeting. How's that? We'll readdress it then.
How about the first scheduled meeting in October?
No.
Okay, first meeting in October.
Okay.
All right. So then we're going to postpone. Hang on, I'm trying to find it. Item 12E until the first meeting in October. Is that correct?
Well, you're going to send me the
Yeah, I'm sending it right now. now.
All righty.
Work on it tonight, and you're gonna see it's terrible. But anyways, all right. So then, agenda item F, right? We're good.
Yes.
Discuss under possible action on canceling the 9/26 regularly scheduled meeting. I don't think there's much left over from this one, and that'll allow us to close the books and make sure everything's paid.
Don't we have anything to discuss about National Night Out? And we've done nothing. And then no
We have budget. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, David. Alderman Tremblay.
For the last, ever since we've been having National Night Out, the mayor and the Arts Committee have taken care of that. We just budget the money and go push them in the donkey.
So there's nothing for the council to discuss on National Night Out, Mayor?
Don't believe so.
I don't think so. I mean, I've helped it run pretty smoothly the last 3 years. The only problem now is it's the Chief's going to take it over, this new chief. But I don't foresee anything that big. And of course,
I'd be more than happy to take September the 26th off.
I mean, me too. But we don't have to.
I move we accept the resolution of the City Council canceling the September 26th, 2024 regular City Council meeting.
Second.
Was that you, Alderman Fillinger?
That was.
Well, I'm assuming that's the only other person that could have said that. So I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay and a second from Alderman Fillinger to accept the resolution canceling the 9/26 regular scheduled meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. That passes unanimously. We just need to move to item 13.
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned. The time is now 9:57 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. Have a good night.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Chief.